I know Hank took a ride.
Well, they told him to get rid of him or he's going for a ride.
Hank took a ride?
Yeah.
Where'd you get that story from?
No, he never took a ride.
Yeah, he did.
They took him for a ride.
He come out, he locked up one night, late at night, and they pulled up in a car, got him in the back, took him for a ride. 1 hour they rode, 45 minutes or an hour they rode around.
Yep.
Didn't say a word to him. They brought him back to the tavern. He went to get out, and he says well, how'd it go? If they had all the slot machines in a barn.
That's not what I heard. I heard they already
Yeah,
had.
they told him if those slot machines aren't gone tomorrow,
No, that's not.
they
what
gave
my
him a
dad
certain
told
amount
me.
of time.
All right, that's all right. Don't interrupt. Let everybody tell their side, and then you tell yours.
Okay, yeah. Everybody that's got a story for the slot machines, tell them.
Will you please?
Say
That's
yours
it.
again, Billy. I want to get this out
Garage
there.
doors.
Say it one more time.
Here?
Just a minute.
Think doors.
The overhead
I'm
doors.
trying to think who told me.
The overhead garage doors.
You want
Oh,
closed?
you want the garage doors closed? My dad told me that.
Eugene.
My
Eugene
dad.
told me.
My dad told me that Hank made his money with the gambling in the basement. He said he had poker games, and he made money off the poker games, and then he had slot machines. And when he got the slot machines in, just like you, came out one night, was closing up, guys picked him up in a black limousine, took him for an hour ride, exact same thing, and they worked him over a little bit. And they said, they brought him back and said, have him gone tomorrow, or we got a problem. I don't know exactly after that. And I said, what the hell did he do? He said he put them out and gave them to different farmers, and they all locked them up in their barns. And then he said, now, where's Mike? Mike probably knows more than anybody. And then my dad said, years later he went back to get them, and he said he only found one of them. And that was, I think, the horse racing one you had in your basement for a nickel. And they would run around.
Eddie Wisniewski had that.
He has it now?
No, Eddie had it in his basement. Always said it was Hank's. He was just holding it for him whenever he got it.
Well, it was
he
in-
came back for it, and that's what Mike has.
And then Leo Hinkey, my father-in-law, was a mile from north of Route 80, said one day about the same time frame, he said one day he rode down the road and there were 2 or 3 slot machines laying in the ditch.
All busted up.
And it corroborated Eddie Wigglepolen's story where he called the brothers and whoever had a
They
pickup truck.
had him out in a couple places. That's what caused the problem. They didn't care they were in the tavern. They had them out in other places and they played. And that's what created a problem.
So I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So the story about Ray going out to Las Vegas and bringing a bunch of machines back.
Yeah,
was
but
that Ray
they
was-
used
Hank
Dubach's
was-
truck,
Hank was getting in the business of
a
supplying
state
other.
truck.
What's that? Say that again?
They used Dubach's, must have been trucking then. Is that right,
Yeah,
Jim,
right.
back then?
Yeah, Dubach had trucks
He had a
on
steak
23rd
truck.
Avenue.
They sent Ray out there to what valley? What was that? What was the name of that place in?
Spring Valley?
No, it was in Vegas.
Sunny Valley?
Death Valley, or there
Death
was a
Valley,
name.
okay.
There was a yeah. But that was a problem. They distributed them.
That's what caused
Hank
it.
had
That
1 or
created
2.
the problem.
He thought, hey, I'll make some money. So he went out. I can make a lot of money. So he went. As soon as he started putting more in his
That's
place,
right.
and in other places, that's when the mob sniffed it out and said,
Your
That's it.
competition now.
"You got 24 hours, or you'll be living in this cemetery, whatever the case may be."
See, and when I went into business, when I worked for the Corettos, Hank was having trouble with Alphonse Coretto. Alphonse owned Illinois Fruit and Produce. I don't know what the name of it was back then. But they were into the liquor. And there was a friction there. And Hank always used to, when I went in business, he always used to tell me, he says, watch him.
Now, Mike, what do you know about slot machines?
Pretty much that he had them, and that he was told at one point in time that he had to have them out by a certain time, or that was it. And that's what I got from talking to my mother. So she doesn't remember him getting taken for a ride or anything, but she might have been downplaying that too.
Hey, did he come home looking like Joe?
No, he didn't take a boat ride, he took a car ride.
What's more dangerous?
Yeah, well, they just said it with you.
It's true.
Alright. The next story is gonna be The Elms, and this is by Eddie Wiggapollen. Okay? So if anybody has anything to add about The Elms, I see Simpson smiling.
I don't know that.
Okay. Ready? Here's what Eddie Wiggapollen gave me. The Elms was a house of ill repute located between Nate Lake and Buffalo Rock on the south side of the road, just past the LaSalle County Nursing Home. Frankie used to deliver groceries out there to the place and talk to the girls. Before the war, an encounter with one of the girls ran around $3. After the war, it went up to $7.
Is that right, Jim?
For a visit. For a visit. Okay. Ray and Finello used to visit the girls often. Ray and Finello, according to Wiggy.
Who's Finello?
Tony
I don't know.
Fenolia.
Fenolia?
Oh, Finolio?
Tony Fenolia.
Fenolia. Tony Fenolia for the record. Okay.
Was he same age as,
Yeah, they run
from
around
South
together.
Side?
They run, yeah.
So
Tony's a nice guy.
Maxine was a big colored hooker that worked there, and she used to visit the girls often. Maxine was, let's see, a good friend of the Mucci, worked there, and she was a good friend of the Mucci's. One day, Farrell Olson, or somebody named Druce,
Who?
Druce? I don't know, I didn't quite get that.
Olson?
Farrell Olson, and then maybe that's the same guy or different guy.
Earl
I'm not sure.
Olson, probably.
Earl Olson.
Oh,
Okay, Earl Olson
yeah.
got drunk at a good friend of the Mucci's one
That's
day.
him.
Let's see. Okay, they got drunk at the bar at the Elms and they went crazy and they turned over the jukebox and headed out of the bar and and the madam called the cops. The word sped throughout the house that the cops were on their way. Ray and Finello, or whatever,
Fenolia.
Finolio jumped out of the window with their clothes under their arms and jumped in a *36 Chevy, only to find that the battery was dead. Finello jumped out of the car and pushed the car uphill, and Ray popped the clutch and the engine fired up. Many years later, the Elms burnt down, and the rumor was that Jimmy Wayne and the Gobble Boys did it. But Wayne said,
Straighten that out.
Wayne
Tom
said-
Flanagan.
Wayne said that they got the blame for many things, but they didn't know who did it for sure.
I do know who, some of my class members.
But Jimmy just
Top
spilled the
of the
beans.
class, guys, Tom Flanagan. He's the head of like the Calgary University in Canada right now.
Yeah, and Wayne said the same
Yeah, they
thing. One of
didn't
the
do a
smart guys
character
in the
check on
class
that
did
guy,
it.
did they?
Is that who was, Jim?
Yes, Tom Flanagan, there was a couple more names. I'm not sure if Jerry O'Grady was in it or
Oh
not.
boy,
There were several names.
that damn Irishman. That burned
But there was
everything down.
guys, never played sports. I don't know if they just wanted to do something in their life, you know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
But
Leave a mark in their life.
yes, but the guys that did it, you would not believe it.
They ever get caught?
No.
No?
I hope the statute of limitations ran out before
Oh,
this
yeah.
thing
Hey,
comes
Tom
to that.
Flanagan was, what do you call it?
Yeah. Okay, the next story. We'll go with, this is a combination of what I heard from Wayne in the Paul Bearer car, and Donald Capitani added a few things too. Okay, and if anybody else knows anything, I think there was something said about Ray's retarded dog. So if you know anything about this story, just add it in when we're done here. Okay.
Which dog?
Ray purchased a dog with good papers somewhere down south, and he had it flown back to Nate Lake. He noticed that there was something not right about the dog. One day he called up Delfo and said, "Come on over here. You got to see this dog." Delfo said he was busy and he couldn't come right now. Ray insisted several times, "Come on over." And he finally grabbed Helen and they went over to Ray's. Ray took the dog out of the cage, he moved it away from the doghouse, and he had him sit. Okay. Then Ray told the dog to run to the cage. The dog took off and he ran headfirst into a metal pole and knocked himself out. And he walked around in a daze for a minute or two. Delfo and Helen fell to the ground laughing. Ray ordered the dog back, told him to take a spot, and he said, "Okay, go back to the cage," and the dog ran and did exactly the same thing the second time. Ray said that the retarded dog would do this all day long. Wigapolen, just a totally different time, Wigapolen turned around and said he seen the dog on several occasions just simply fall off Grandpa's banister for no reason at all. Okay? Ray ended up with an expensive, retarded dog. A few months later, I was collecting stories from Donald Capitani one day, and here's the addendum. Ray came over to Donald's house in LaSalle one day, and he used to have a coon dog for Dino. Well, they had to get rid of the coon dog for some reason, which left a pen not occupied in the backyard. Ray came over and said, "Hey, why don't you take my beagle? You got an empty cage there. There's nothing wrong with him. Except one time he was running a rabbit, and he went and he hit a tree and knocked himself out." Donald said, "What do you mean? There ain't nothing wrong with him. The dumb goddamn dog hit a tree, knocked himself out, and you want me to take that, your mutt?" Ray got pissed off, left, and Donald didn't take the dog. So, if anybody knows any more about the dog story.
Well, now, when he was in Kangley, he had one.
Didn't he have like 20 beagles and they were all named Queenie?
At least 30.
Well, he called Debbie
Most of
Nye.
them-
Everyone-
most of them was Queenie.
Most of them were.
He had Debbie Nye run out to Kangley, and he had a little dog. The same thing. He took the dog, opened the run, called the dog, hit the post, and then he looked at Debbie Nye. He said, "You want to see it again?"
So you've seen the same trick.
I don't know if it was the same dog.
He did breed dogs. Maybe he was breeding
Jim used to run the dogs he had, didn't he, Jim?
Yeah, I run with
He run into a tree?
That was Maplewood Jack, yeah.
Jack.
My picture's like the horse. Put a saddle on him and ride him, he's the tease Ray. He'd chase a rabbit, he'd hit the tree, bounce off, he'd shake his head and take off again. Ray said, "Look at that dumb bastard."
But he's good dog. He's gonna give it to Donald. That dog.
Nothing wrong with that dog.
In his standards.
Okay, next one. This is about Eugene, the towel boy, and Grandma Mucci the picket. And this is by Eddie
Oh, yeah.
Wigapolen. You know this one?
No, I heard it.
Oh, okay. Eugene worked at a whorehouse called Gene's Place, tending the stoker furnace and shoveling snow off the walks when he was 10 years old. The house was just across the street from Grandma's house, and 4 houses down from Helen and Dan Capitani's. Okay?
Where Fisher Skolnick lives now.
Fisher Skolnick, how many houses down is it?
About 4.
From the Capitani house? 4 houses?
Used to have a red light on it.
Okay.
Is it kind of a long house?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
Okay, so Eugene received a $10 Christmas gift from Madam Jean when he brought it home. Grandpa quizzed Eugene about the money, because $10 was a lot in those days, and wanted him to bring it back. Grandma Florence and some of her religious friends did not like the brothel in the neighborhood, so they went out to the street in front of the brothel. They started a big fire on the cinder street back then, cooked some hot dogs, and picketed the place. It was said that one of Grandma's friends was picketing out in front of the place while her husband, Jimmy Shaley,
Ran out the back.
was picketing back. There were times
Can you imagine something like that
there
today?
were times when Grandma was outside picketing while Eugene was in hiding inside the place. The place closed down, and it was probably that many of the men quit going there because they didn't want to be seen by the pickets that knew them out in front.
Well, the story I heard, the girls shut it down. The neighborhood girls, they shut it down.
Was Grandma part of that?
Yes, that's the story I got.
And they did it by
Yeah, they-
picketing
yeah.
or by getting the constable?
Well, I
Or?
don't know, oh no, they did it on their own, they did it on their own. How they did it, I don't know.
Yeah, well, all the
shamed
name
them.
platers are known by everybody else.
Right.
They ain't gonna go in there. I'm sure you don't go into one of those places when they know you.
We used to have a red light on the house too, a red light.
Well, who
They had a red light in front of the place?
No.
Dad and Jean?
All right, because the story I heard from my mother is that when she was a little kid, they lived in the house, the third house from the glass factory next to Freddie Strange.
Okay.
Like the Richies, the Stranges, and my grandmother lived there. My mother swears that the neighbors used to throw rocks and dirt and stuff against my mother's house. And my grandmother did not have a real great reputation. She was like married 3 times. And, yeah, she finally ended up with Abe Philippi, but she allegedly chased one of her husbands away with a gun. And my mother has like probably 20, 30 stories about different men coming in the house trying to kill my mother, or grandmother. So you know.
So she lived just a house or two from.
Well, right next to it, because there's
Right
like
next to it.
kind of that lot.
And why were they throwing rocks at her house?
Well, she
Because
said,
they thought it was the other house?
my mother said, her mother told her it's because they didn't like him. Well, that doesn't make sense, because they were all kind of a close group, because Mary McCona lived across the street
Right.
and all that. So,
Was your grandmother the madam?
well, I don't know.
I gotta look at some more tapes.
That has been speculated for a
That's a
long time.
possibility.
Because she ran a bar or a pool hall at that green place by Alberti's, Berndone's.
The one in between there?
Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
Oh, the old pool hall.
yeah, it's a pool, yeah.
Yeah.
So she was a little shady, so I didn't know if maybe she had some more involvement in
I thought the Elms was the one down by
At the garden.
the garden.
Yeah, that's
where
a
Bingo
You
used to
mean they
live.
were running a whorehouse out of that garage?
The one-legged guy.
Cause my dad used to take care
Mike?
of Bingo
Yeah.
Bingo
and
Smith.
pick up food, pack.
Patty used to take care of him. Patty Smith lived in the back there.
Oh, he
Bingo
took care
lived
of
out-
Bingo. Then my dad took care of Patty Smith.
Yeah.
Dad used to have a garden down there one.
Right, right.
Bingo lived next to the Hall's funeral home.
Oh, okay. Well, then my dad also took care of Al Pippin. You heard
Right, the one that went,
that
Hank
Hank
was
talked
talking
about,
about.
that Johnny was a good buddy with.
yeah.
Because Al Pippin was like 91, 92 years old. My dad and mom brought him food. My mom cooked. My dad brought him food every day. Took him to the doctors.
Everything.
Hey, Mike,
I mean, you're talking
they were running
A
girls
shack.
out of that garage?
for Patty Smith.
that was
Yeah, Patty was down
that
there.
was
She
a
lived
bar.
right next to
It
it.
was a shack that was half the size of this kitchen. You walked in, there was just a little
Room.
stove, a bed, and that was it.
Yeah, the place, Alberti's, Berndone's, that area, that was a bar pool hall.
It was a pool, but they were running girls out of there?
What I heard, bar pool hall, and my grandma had a lot of fist fights with guys in there. That's all I know. So,
Holy shit.
Really?
Now, that was the Machinos or
yeah, that was Mary Machino.
Alright. But what was
Abe
Mach-
Philippi's wife.
Machine, they said something else.
Machinic.
Machinic,
Machinic,
my China,
and
there's
then
a
they
whole,
changed
yeah.
it to Machino.
All right. Now, I got this already written down. I'll turn it on after I read it. Johnny the prize fighter, and this is again by Eddie Wiggapollen. Johnny was a prize fighter and he fought around the area in many places, including Streeter and on Route 6 between Ottawa and Utica at an outdoor ring, which was now a place called the Cajun Connection. Sometimes 4 or 5 guys would jump on the old truck and 3 of them would ride inside of the cab, and several would stand outside on the running boards and ride all the way to Streeter. Johnny was prone to epileptic seizures. He ended up by dying in a hotel bathtub, and now we know it was in Dixon, right?
Dixon, right.
Somewhere between here and California, so we know more about that. He had died from a seizure, or maybe just too many punches to the head, but now we know it was the truck.
From the
The
accident.
truck accident. Okay. Johnny, Ray, and Delfo were the kind of guys that would never go down. They just stood there and kept fighting no matter how bad they were getting beat. Most of the time, they were the beaters, not the beatees.
Why are you laughing, Jimmy?
Well, that's true.
That's a
You
fact.
saw this?
Oh, I see his fights, yeah, I seen Raymond.
Anybody want to talk about?
fight?
Was he the toughest of the Mucci's?
He was tough.
So Delphi could have been tougher.
All the Mucci fists
They
probably
were all
brought their
tough.
opponent
It was
down.
all tough, but
But Ray was, he was one tough.
everybody thinks Delphi was the toughest, but
That's what I thought.
Ray was tough, but
Ray was pretty tough.
What do you,
Pound for pound, Ray had it.
Probably.
what do you guys had the story about Ray and a couple people going to the streeter for a fight, and then Ray stopped, saying stop the car, and went in?
Or the,
That-
what was
that
it called? Indian Acres?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Mhm. I got that the story from Donald again, and he was there when it happened. So matter of fact, once we get through that,
Yeah.
I think I can even play that one from Donald. And I think it'll carry good enough that we can all hear it.
We might be able to rig it up.
Does anybody know about Ray at the Hilltop? Don't touch him. We'll read it. We'll see if it comes up. One night, Ray was out at the Hilltop Bar, and he got really ticked off at a guy. And to make a short story shorter, he punched the guy, and the guy went down to the floor. Eugene walked into the bar 10 minutes later and asked, why is that guy laying knocked out cold on the floor?
It was outside in the snow,
Was it?
because he said he's gonna freeze.
Hang on. Eugene, add that.
Donald told me this.
Eugene bent over to help the guy come to, but Ray was still really pissed and he told Eugene to leave him alone or he'll be joining them. I think that's. Yeah. So, anybody got anything to add, Billy, about the snow?
Donald said it was in the snow. It was cold out.
But it was at the Hilltop.
The guy was harassing Ray. So Ray finally went outside and put him down.
Okay.
Yeah, then Yuj walked in and what's the guy laying out there for? He's gonna freeze. And Uncle Ray told me, he says, you go out to help him or you touch him, you're gonna be on the ground too.
That was his own brother. He was still that pissed.
Yeah.
Alright. Number 5. This is just a short one, but Ray at the Senate Tap. Senate Tap had the longest bar in the world. It ran from Court Street all the way out to Columbus Street. Ray walked in the door, proceeded to knock over every drink in the bar till he got to the other end. Then he proceeded over to the Chatterbox bar and did the same thing. Chatterbox was the talk of the town down here on Main
Across the
Street.
street.
Anybody know that story? Confirm it?
I never heard that one.
That's unbelievable.
Okay.
Where'd you get that?
That was from Wigapole. And this next one is one
You
of my
must have been in a
favorites.
foul mood that night.
There's
out there.
next-
You know you're tough when you go walk into a bar and knock over
The longest
everybody.
longest bar in the
The
world.
stories Wigapole is telling it, I would guess is true, 100%.
He knows.
You-
But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go back and, I didn't have this recorder last time, I went home and wrote them. So I could even question myself, but I think I got it, but I probably missed some stuff.
Just put it into today's, walk into any bar and try
Anywhere.
to start one end and just start knocking drinks over. You're not gonna make it.
No, there'd be a line outside
That's
waiting.
tell you what kind of reputation.
There wouldn't be a line outside, there'd be inside.
There's quite a few stools filled up.
There's 3-4 guys gonna take you down one way or another.
What I heard about Ray used to be in the army with young Putz Pacini, remember? Young Putz.
No, not young one. Primo, the old one.
With the old one?
The old one,
Oh, nice, he was my best friend, but
not the
he,
young one.
oh, well, okay, Primo, well, then he's the one that told me Ray was he was a tough son of a bitch.
Okay, here you go. Everybody knows Frankie Monterstelli from Monterstelli's Tap, right?
Right.
Okay. Frankie Monterstelli's Purple Heart. Frankie Monterstelli was a veteran that served in the South Pacific, specifically in the Philippines. They lived in crude conditions while they were there, and the latrines were constructed as long trenches with boards that were cut out with holes to sit on, and a bit of building over the top. The places smelled really bad, so the remedy was to pour a little bit of gasoline over the waste to control the stench. One day, as Frankie was sitting on one of the seats in the latrine reading a newspaper, a little Filipino walked by and flipped a cigarette into the hole, and the whole thing blew up. Frankie went flying off the seat, his newspaper caught fire, he received butt burns, which needed medical attention, and Frankie ended up getting a Purple Heart medal for receiving injuries during wartime.
I heard that. I heard that story.
Is that true, Jim?
I heard
the
that
thing is,
story.
Turn that on.
I'll tell you why I think it's true. Because Frankie had the Purple Heart,
You're
and
damn right.
Wigapole would tease Frankie every time you go in the bar. Hey, how's your Purple Heart?
I heard
Tell
that.
everybody how we get it. So I think it was true.
Johnny, I heard that too, Frank.
That's
Same
classic.
story. Exactly.
From who, Dave?
in the bar. Eddie Wigapolen and my dad sitting there drinking
And
orange
Frankie
soda.
was there.
Jimmy said it was
Yeah.
Jimmy. Who'd you
Yeah.
hear it from?
Somebody was stationed with him over there. They played it from Iowa, was there when it happened.
Okay. Frankie's Purple Heart. from
Purple
sitting on
Heart
the
blew his
tree.
ass.
Yeah, you got basketball now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I bet his wife Dorothy has it, John.
I bet she does. Where's she at these days? Up in
She's
Chicago?
around.
She's around.
South
She's
side.
on Chicago. Look her up when you get home, man.
Okay.
Talk to her about it.
Okay, the next one's about my
You gonna
dad.
go ask her that?
The next one's,
She'll tell you.
the next one's about my dad and Loretta, okay? It's called A Promise, Flying Keys in the Waiting Room. And this one's by my dad, okay? One evening back in 1958, John R. Wisniewski and his good drinking buddy, Navi Lachey, walked out of the LOF. The second shift was over and it was about 10:30 at night. They hopped into Jack's blue 1951 four-door Oldsmobile, where Jack suggested that they stop at Bayou's Tap and have a few beers. Navi was a bit reluctant, but Jack persuaded him to stop. After a couple of beers, Navi wanted to go home. That was not normal for Navi because he had a secret. It was not normal to want to go home, but he had a secret. He had a promise from his wife, Bev, and he was eager not to share this information with Jack. So, once they got in the car, Jack started to drive west on Lafayette Street from Bayou's and suggested that they go down to Gladys's Tap, now Eric's Bar in Nate Plate, for a couple more beers. Well, Navi knew Jack was not going to drop him off at his house, so Navi waited patiently till he was just about 2 blocks from Armstrong Street by St. Francis School, where Navi lived. Just at the right moment, he reached over across the car, he yanked the keys out of the ignition, he flipped them out of the window. Back in those days, you could take the keys out of the ignition in the car, and it wouldn't quit. It would quit, but the steering wouldn't lock up. By the time Jack went back and found his keys, Navi had gone home. Jack was not happy, but he, with no one to drink with, he reluctantly went home. Okay? 9 months later, Navi and Jack were sitting in the maternity room. Bev was giving birth to Sherry Lachey, and Loretta was giving birth to Lori Wisniewski. They were looking in the glass window going, which one's yours?
Yeah, Gladys is the tavern now, that was Rudnicky's.
Rudnicky's. And which one was that? Where Bayou's was or something?
No, Eric's.
Eric's.
Down in there.
Okay, okay.
Wasn't that Rosales?
Results.
Yeah, Rosella's.
Okay, say that again.
Gladys is
Our aunt.
talking about his
That was our
Rudnicky's.
aunt.
Was it?
Okay,
Yeah,
and that's
Rosello's
now
our aunt.
Eric's.
I'll be
Yes.
darned.
Okay.
She married my mother's brother,
Okay.
Richard. Yeah, okay.
She was Gladys then?
No.
No.
Gladys was a Rednicky.
Oh, okay.
Used to live next door to Grandma and Grandpa down
Gladys was a Bradner.
So did Rosales own it after that?
there. Yeah,
Oh.
yeah.
Okay. This one's about Ray, Eugene, and the Bible. Okay, Ray Wigapolen, Uncle Ray, Eugene, and the Bible. Ray Wigapolen, Ray Mucci, and Eugene Mucci were doing some golf caddy work out at the golf course. They were not making a whole bunch of money out there. One of the boys said that the word was out that you could get a job detasseling corn and earn a whopping 50 cents an hour for doing the work. That was a staggering amount in those days for a kid, so the 3 boys headed down to the place where they were hiring and applying for jobs. They were turned away because in order to get hired, you had to be 14 years old and you needed to prove it, that you were 14 by bringing in your birth certificate. The boys started walking home. The 2 Rays were 14 and did not have a worry. Eugene was 13 and he was sad and he was moaning that he'd never get a good job. Ray Mucci thought about his younger brother's problem for a while and told Eugene, I got a plan.
No, Ray Wigapolen told him that.
Is that Ray Wigapolen?
Ray's the one, Ray Wigapolen had the plan.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll record the fix after I get done. Here's what you do, Eugene. Tomorrow, we will go back and we will present our birth certificates, but you tell them that you are a Protestant and Protestants don't have birth certificates. Tell them that you are 14 years old, and your birthday is recorded in the front of your of the family Bible, and your mother refused to let you take the family Bible to the house. Eugene agreed to this the next day, so the three boys walked back to the desk where they were hiring, and Ray asked Eugene if he had the story straight. Eugene assured Ray that he did. So they arrived back at the hiring desk, and both Rays presented their birth certificates and got hired on the spot. Eugene stepped up and told the lady that he was a Protestant, he didn't have a birth certificate, and his mother wouldn't let him bring the dictionary. Ray just shook his head, looked at Eugene, and yelled, "You dumb son of a bitch!" Okay.
Ray Wigapolen told me, I couldn't believe when he told me that.
And Ray Wigapolen had the plan?
Yeah.
Okay.
He told me that.
And that's just a true story about
True story.
the dictionary and
Sure.
Yeah.
Alright.
But the kicker was, can you see Uncle Ray turn around going, "You dumb
Dumb
son of a
son of a
bitch."
That was his favorite saying.
Eugene probably just looked at him and smiled.
Alright. These next stories, I got about 5 or 6 more, and they came from Donald Capitani. Alright. Okay. This is the first story that Donald wanted to tell. This was at the top of his list. Okay? Grandpa Mucci's Holy Fishing Boat by Donald Capitani. Grandpa Mucci had a fishing boat, which was kind of a family fishing boat, which he kept down at LaSalle County Nursing Home. Grandpa knew Nickerson, and these are rough drafts, but Grandpa knew Nickerson, who owned Nickerson's Island, and he allowed Grandpa to fish on the island. Donald asked Grandpa if he could borrow his fishing boat and go hunting, actually, in the boat. After getting permission, Donald grabbed a guy named Fisher, okay, and his dog, boarded the boat, and they started the motor, and they cast off toward the island. It was winter, and there was a thin sheet of ice on the river, which didn't look like much. About halfway across the river, they started to hit some heavier ice. The son of a gun ice turned into a saw and started cutting the bow. Fisher said, "Keep on going." Donald said, "Fuck, piss on you, piss on you, I'm gonna turn it around. You better start taking off your clothes." They had their hunting boots. They had to take off your heavy hunting boots and your jackets. You're getting ready to swim, because soon there was 1 foot cut all the way through the bow, and the water started coming in. Donald started racing the motor to keep the front end of the boat high and out of the water, to stop the water from gushing in the hole in the bow. Donald was hoping the motor wouldn't conk out, because he knew if they did, they'd be dead and they'd never make it to shore. When they got home, Donald, Eugene, and Ray caulked and painted the boat, and Grandpa never found out about his damaged boat.
Oh, I can't believe that. I can't believe Grandpa didn't catch that.
That's one of the first ones he wanted to
You
tell.
know why? Probably it was winter time, he never got out.
Yeah, I never got out.
Nobody gave him a ride down there.
Yeah.
That's the whole thing. Grandpa never drove.
No.
And Donald was his chauffeur.
Chauffeur, yeah. He wouldn't give him a ride down and see the boat.
Yeah, and Donald's got a good story about that.
When I got my driver's license, I used to start taking him down and me and him go to fishing all the time.
Yeah, I think Donald was driving when he's 13. I got a story about Donald driving when he's 13. The one thing I don't understand about this story is, did you hunt out in the island?
Yeah.
You could hunt
You
out
could
at
hunt on
Nickerson's?
Nickerson's Island.
So the animals go out there, the rabbits and all that stuff?
Mostly ducks.
Oh, is that what they were?
Yeah.
It was kind of small, wasn't it? Nickerson's Island.
Oh, they used to hunt it all the time. They'd hunt it all the time.
I mean,
Oh, yeah, it ain't big, no.
But it was good fishing.
Bullheads, big bullheads, boy, big yellow bellies.
Right by that island, that little tree there.
Oh, it was delicious, Jesus Christ.
There's nothing like flatheads. from Morrison, Illinois.
How do you know, Dave? You don't know yet.
I believe you, man.
Believe it.
Lobsters, like white steak
It's freshwater lobster.
That's right. Since we
Okay.
have, go ahead. All right, we're
This
ready.
one's called Lost Anchor, and Donald Capitani's gonna tell this one. Okay?
Oh, that's the ice. That's the ice story.
It's coming.
Keep on going, go on the other side.
We might as well hear just a little bit at the ending of this.
So we went out, we got in the boat. There was a little piece of thin ice on the water. Didn't look like much. We put the dog in the boat.
They were rather long.
Cast it off, I started the motor. I got halfway across the river. We started hitting heavy ice. And the son of a gun said, it was sawing the boat. It was cutting the front of the bow. So Fisher said, keep on going, go on the other side. I said, piss on you, I'm turning the boat around. Get the boat off. So we started taking the heavy hot jackets off and the boots and that shit. And finally we made it back. I was hoping that motor wouldn't conk out on me because if it did, we're dead. We'd never made it back to shore. I was kind of racing the motor to keep the bow of the boat up high so the water wouldn't crush in there. Because it had already cut
Good
about a
thinking.
foot of the boat. So we made it back all right, and everything turned out all right. And usually the ray caught the boat and we painted it, you never knew there was any damage. So that was the end of the story about using a boat and accidentally cutting a hole in it.
Dave, you just took second place for being the dumbest boater. You're not in first place no more.
Thanks, John.
Wait. Is he Joe?
Yes, Joe.
He's close.
Let's look at Joe's head.
Dave still got it.
Can't even change
Wait, hold it.
answer.
Joe, how many
what's
fingers?
your name? What's your name?
Joe, how many fingers?
4.
He's got it.
Okay, here's
You know what?
another.
You know what? Some people might not know what happened to Joe. Anybody here not happen to know what happened to Joe?
Everybody knows.
All right.
We know who did it.
Okay. Here's the
The
next
guy
one.
with no remorse.
I love you, man.
This story's documented, buddy. You're in trouble.
Here's the next one. This is the Lost Anchor. And this is with Donald and Ray.
This is a story about Don and Ray. We went up to Ibiza. Ray wanted to go fishing up there, so I didn't know it was about this time of the year. But prior to going up there, I'll tell you that later. We got in a boat, and we were going out to fish. Well, we got out in the middle of the lake, and Ray said, throw the anchor out. So he threw the anchor on and slipped off the rope. Slipped off the anchor went down in a drink. So Ray said, I'll get my fishing pole and I'll put a big hook on it and I'll fish it out. So it was a current, a pretty hard current, strong current. And Ray said, okay, now you order the boat, keep it where I tell you all I want it. Well, I was on for about a half hour, my arms were about ready to fall off. Keep on on. Finally, I said, that's your anchor. I'll buy you one of the goddamn things. So Ray was laughing so hard. But anyway, we didn't get the anchor, we had to go buy one. But that was really funny. I was going to dive in and get the anchor. But Ray was laughing his ass off. I said, what's so goddamn funny, Ray? He said, you'll find out. So I took my clothes off and I put my foot in the water. And Ray said, last week that was ice. Then I drove in that son of a bitch would have killed me. I wonder why Ray was laughing so hard. We went back to shore. And we seen two guys standing up in one of their boats. They were hitting the paddles. They took the oars and were hitting the water. Me and Ray went over there snooping, and the guys were hitting carp. The big fishermen were smacking carp.
Let me fast forward a little bit. He had a few stories about Dino's loud motorcycle, but it really wasn't, you know, it was kind of specific.
That was the first year Dino drove the boat himself. I gave him the keys.
Next one's about grandpa fishing.
Told the drink, but instead, when I listened to Carol, we went and rented a motor.
This is kind of the throwing it in the motor in the water. We just hear a little bit, but he didn't throw it in. And it wasn't Ray or somebody else that threw it in.
On the van, and Dino had that bike in there. So she went back in the house, we started unloading everything. And Dino got the bike off we had a ramp. And Dino, we pushed the bike down on the ground and Dino backed it up. I'm telling you, you could hear that bark clear across the lake. I think that woman was a shit in her pants. Because we were quiet normally. When we got up there, that was our last year, so we figured we'll give it hell. So, Dino, for a week, was running around that bike barking up there. But before we even went up there, we stopped at a go-kart track. And a guy from Wisconsin, running the go-kart track, told us, you guys, I want you racing.
I'm just fast forward. But here's the blown motor story, but he never went. He never did go down in the drink. Go past that. And get the
Is this one when Donald took it out?
No, Dino. Dino.
No, Donald took the boat out with the motor.
Yeah,
He
this
was-
is the story, but it,
No, but it's a totally different story. He was going up to Wisconsin and
Oh, okay.
he bought, his motor wasn't good, so he bought one and the guy says, I just rebuilt it, this, that. We got out in the lake and it took about 2 minutes and it burned up. So he had to row it back, but he didn't throw it in the drink. He says, I don't know anything about that story, so I don't think he was involved where Ray or somebody threw it in. They borrowed the boat,
Got tired
2
of
other
pulling
brothers
it.
went out, somebody threw it in.
But he told me the story about when he borrowed Ray's boat at home.
Okay, that one I want to catch on tape,
Okay.
okay? Because I need that story. But let me get up to grandpa fishing.
So we were fishing one day, we weren't catching anything. And we were out in the lake, but you know, I told Carol, I said, don't say nothing, we went to kind of secluded. He said, that ain't a fish, that's a goddamn dogfish. He caught one of them guards. But I was giving him the raspberries. End of story. Stop.
I always love to hear Don talk.
I know.
Listen to him talk for hours. Yeah.
Here's the Grandpa Mucci story about the driving and stuff.
He caught a fish, he was reeling it in. I said, he took it up, I said, it's a goddamn dogfish. God. We don't give him the raspberries. End of story. Stop. I used to take Grandpa Mucci out fishing. And I'm telling you, it was hilarious when Ray and I used to go together with Grandpa. But I used to use Ray's car. I think he had a 38 Buick then. And one morning, he come over ratting on the window, Grandpa Mucci, and said, now you take me fish. What's funny about these stories about Grandpa is, I tell you, his broken English. You know? Instead of saying, I hooked the fish, he said, I hook him. You know? And that is what's funny about these stories, I guess, is his dialect. Anyway, I was driving Grandpa down with Ray Buick, and I was going kind of fast. I pulled in the gate down the Symposium Club, and they had this post up there that used to hang a gate on there. Them L-shaped hooks were, oh hell, I bet they were about 8-10 inches big. They were quite large. When I wheeled in there, I'm telling you, the car split. I was going kind of fast on that gravel. And Grandpa said, God damn kid, you crazy. You're going to wreck the car. And I think I did scratch a little bit to the side of the car. I didn't say nothing to Ray about it. Love you, Ray. Anyway, that was the fish stories. I used to take Grandpa Mucci and Al Costelli. Al would get drunk. He had a big thermos of beer. And it was a blast.
Careless of beer.
Grandpa no more. You kids are crazy. Raymond and Donald, you are nuts. And we used to say, okay, Grand. So we drop them off. And next morning, about 6 o'clock, I hear a rap on my bedroom window. Donald, you get up, give me that fish. He used to get so pissed off. Me and Ray, I would say Ray because he ain't here. Love you, Ray. But anyway, Grandpa used to take a leak out of the back of the boat, and Ray used to rock the boat. Just enough to piss him off. Another time, we used to run a nightline down there, and Grandpa used to, he was baiting the nightline, and me and Ray had our hands in the water, we were on the boat with our arms, using our hands and arms. It took him a long time before we used to tell him back at the current. He thought the current was pushing the boat. He was trying to hang out of the nightline and bait it till he caught us. We got down. He took me back to shore. Me and Ray took him back to shore. Bigger than shit. Ram said, I'm going out myself. You guys are crazy. You stay in the bag. I'll pick you up. He was out that cold with the boat itself for about 10 minutes. He was going around in a circle. He didn't know how to order a boat.
I can see why you didn't drive a car.
That was funny.
You ordered in a circle. Now we know where to get it.
Now we know you're getting paid.
He couldn't find the nightline, the nightline?
Yeah.
No, he couldn't order the boat. He kept going around in circles.
You couldn't react.
He couldn't go straight.
He was a hell of a fisherman, but he didn't know how to run a boat.
He didn't know how to
Oh,
drive.
now I understand the story. The analogy.
That was really a funny story. Another time, I don't know if you was with me or not, I had Jack Charliers with him.
Look out, Sim, you're coming up, buddy.
No.
Jim, you must have really covered your bases.
No kidding.
He thought the car was pushing the boat. We got down.
That's the end of the Grandpa Lauren.
There's one in between though. There's one in between
We
there.
used to pump water in that bathtub.
You know the bathtub story.
I think it worked. When you put them in that clear water, that rainwater, you run in the bathtub, and that's how the bathtub story come around. You walk over to a cistern, they call it rainwater, you pump it out to the bathtub, and the one to the garden. Water the garden. So that was the story about the bathtub. We always used to put fish in there, and you would leave it in there about 3 days to clear it out, to clear the fish out, all the mud and all the crap in them. And they were lots of their eating. That was the end of that story with the bathtub. Stop. Sim, this is Don. You remember we used to borrow? I forget, I think it was Jack Charlier's truck. We used to go pick a junk up in the alleys. It was a long time ago, Jim. But one time I remember the caddy dancers are out by Plant 7, they were fooling around the railroad ties in and that shit. We used to go steal the railroad spikes. They used to put the run on us. That was really a funny story.
What you gonna tell,
I
eh?
don't know if it was funny or not. I had Jack Charliers. He had that Model D converted truck. I think he made a little pickup out of it. Montanelli was the constable.
Oh, Montanelli.
13 tickets. And everybody laughed. Dion was getting tore up anyway. I think Carlos Santucci was the mayor. Anyway, what were some of the more interesting 13 tickets? The 13 tickets were, I can't hardly recall them now, but they were going through an alley the wrong way.
Through the alley the wrong way.
Down.
You knocked the clothesline
Through the
down.
alley, speeding. I can't think of all of them now, but I remember the About 13 years old, that's all I could tell.
Donald was 13?
Remember now, Mayfield was a village. And everybody took care of us.
That's seventh grade.
My mother used to go shopping. They never locked the doors. She just had a screen door in there. They would leave it open. We never had air conditioning then. And in fact, I never had a bathroom. I was in the Army, 17 years old, 18 years old. We didn't have an inside bathroom until Uncle Del put one in for my mom and dad. And things were tough then. I mean, everybody took care of themselves. The 13 tickets was funny. I don't know what the hell they were all about. I don't remember that totally, but maybe you do, Jim. But here's another story. Sim, you remember we went out for corn, sweet corn? We went out to this one field where Del Monte's had already picked the corn. And we stopped by the gate fence there. And the guy said, what do you guys want? We said, we're going to pick a little sweet corn. Because, they already went through there with the picker. And the guy asked you and I how much we're going to pick. And we said, nah, maybe a dozen years. Just for the immediate family. Stuff like that bullshit. We had 3 or 4 honey sacks in a truck. If you remember that, Jim. I don't know whose car we had, but whatever car we had, when we left that field, the buffalo was hit the ground.
Is that true, Jimmy?
Yeah. Hey, he never told you that story. We worked up in Rochelle together.
Oh, wait a minute,
No,
wait a minute.
don't. We worked up in Rochelle together, We got laid off down at the plant. He called me up one Saturday night. He says, hey, I'm going in the Christmas tree business. How about come and take a ride with me to Wisconsin in the morning? I said, what time are you leaving? He said, about 4:30. I said, how the hell are you going to haul these trees home? He said, I got a farmer's going to let me use the truck. So Marianne and I had the 2 kids in, and Donald picked me up at 3:30, 4 o'clock. We were going down to Wisconsin. We got there. He didn't know where he was going. He said, let's go here and see if we can buy some trees. So he go in there, the guy went selling, he said, we'll go down there and try. So we went down there and tried. We filled them up. Some bitch ain't got no money. We bought all the trees, he didn't have no money. I had to pay for them, So on our way home, we're on the goddamn 90, got a flat tire. No, he got no money for tires, state cops goes by, What the hell you guys doing? Donald, him. Got a flat tire, and how about give me a ride in town and that shit? He went in town, he got a tire. I sat on a bank. I wouldn't sit in the goddamn truck. I sat in the bank. Son of a bitch, we got home 3:30 that morning. Donald didn't have a penny on him when we went up there.
Oh.
He told a few more things about the story too. He said that you picked up 40 Christmas trees. He didn't say you paid for it.
Yeah.
He said money was tight.
Yeah.
He paid me back.
He said
Money was tight.
He said money was tight, and he said at that time Libby Owens had been down for 3, 4, 5 years.
Yeah, that was,
And people were really hurting for
I
money.
was 64.
So whose scheme was it to say, I think I'm gonna buy some trees, come back and sell them and make money?
Donald,
That
he
was
called
Donald.
me up.
Okay. So he
He
said,
wanted
they're
me to
gonna,
take a ride with him.
yeah, try to make a buck. So, he said about the flat tires, and then, he said when they got back home, they couldn't sell a Christmas tree. He said, Donnie had a crazy idea to pick out the biggest, most beautiful Christmas tree and donate it to the church. Remember that?
He was in Compton.
He was in Compton, right.
Right.
He was in Compton. After the word got around that he donated the trees, they sold like wildfire. And one guy walked in and said, pick me out 3 of those trees. And when all was said and done, he ended up with just 2 trees out of 40
Yeah.
that he didn't sell. But he couldn't sell one edgewise till he donated one of the
He was
trees.
right in Compton, right on 51 there. Right on the corner.
Cool. Okay, Eugene and the Rabbit Poachers. Way back when Libby Owens Ford was down 4 or 5 years, and most of the Mucci clan was laid off and dealing with limited resources, either Dick or John Shaley had a big old blue Hudson, and his car had great big fenders on it. So Don and Shaley would go out late at night and shoot rabbits. One night they went down to 25th or 26th Street. What street do you live on, Dave?
24th.
24th, he missed it by a street. 25th or 26th Street, across from the last street at the west end of Nate Plate, where Eugene lived. They started shooting rabbits almost in Eugene's backyard, right across the street there in the field. And Eugene woke up from a dead sleep and he was pissed. He was still putting on his clothes as he was crossing the street. He came over and he gave the hunters holy hell. Once he met up with the shooters, he found out it was Donald and Shaley and said, "What in the hell are you doing here?" Don said, "We're hunting you." And he said, "Okay, be careful." We were sitting on the fenders of the car shooting rabbits. We got 8 or 10 rabbits, and I asked Donald if he was hunting, if hunting like that was legal in those days. And his reply was, "Is going to jail for 5 years legal?" So riding on a fender late at night and shooting rabbits was still poaching back then. It was legal to club rabbits, and Grandpa Mucci had a double-barrel shotgun. Donald asked him how could he afford shells for the gun. Grandpa said he never shot the gun. He said he actually had a baseball bat that he cut down a little bit and used it as a club. They would go out, take a gunny sack, and go out and club rabbits in the laid-down cornfields, and that he would come home with 15, 20 rabbits. Back then, hunting was survival rather than a sport. You guys ever?
I have that double barrel shotgun hanging down
You
my
do?
basement.
Oh, I got to
double-barrel
record that.
shotgun.
I got to record that.
Donald, he used to go with, well, we all went with Shaley. Shaley had a big Hudson. Donald was a left-hander. You know, always get on this side of the car where he could shoot over the top, you know. And that was where the rabbits usually be, so the guy on the other door would have to run out and get the goddamn rabbits, and Donald would be shooting them, because he was left-handed on that side.
You aren't saying Donald was a little lazy.
Hey, that's like when he was hunting the Illinois Michigan Canal. He had Stiffy Nanowski down in the cattails, like Dave used to do. Some bitch, and Stiffy raised his arm up, down, shot him. Oh, yeah. Oh, you asked me.
I gotta record that one, kid. Remember to repeat that as soon as I get that tape in
He
there.
was quick on the trigger.
Quick one, Donald borrowed Uncle Ray's car. Donald came home on a furlough after spending 18 months over in Germany. Ray gave Donald $20 and loaned him his brand new 54, 55 Oldsmobile 98 for the evening. Donald got all duded up and headed over to Streeter to look for chicks. When he was over in Streeter, he had a few beers. On the way home, he was kind of speeding a little bit, is what he said. This one car was going not too fast, so I flew around it. I didn't know how fast I was going, but it was fast. I didn't know that it then, but it was Ray, and Ray was in the car, and it was the one that he zipped around after he loaned his car. I didn't know it then. Let's see, around. I got to the Green Mill Cafe and I went in for breakfast. About 5 minutes later, Uncle Ray came in with Eddie Wigapoen and a bunch of guys that he went to Streeter with. You got to know Ray. He laughed his ass off. If anybody else would have gotten pissed, but Ray the next day gave me $20 in the car again and said drive a little slower. Brand new 98.
Wow. Poor Ray was always loaning his car out, wasn't he, Jim?
I come home on leave one time, New Year's Eve. New Year's Eve.
Yeah.
And I was just getting ready to get in Dad's car and take off. Me, Louie down. In fact, me and Jim Valsano was going to Peoria to pick up Louie. That's where Louie was working.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Dad was seeing a bunch of oil. We couldn't take his car, so we called Ray. And Ray's got like a brand new Buick. And Ray said, yeah, no problem. So we went down there. The only thing is, my dad says, do not take that car out of town. I said, no problem. Well, shit, 2 minutes later, we was headed to Peoria. So we pick up Louie, me and Valsano, and Louie said, let's take a ride down the whorehouses. You gotta go through the alleys. Well, we come on the street, and here comes a car. There's 6 guys in it. They're up in front of us. They stop, and here they come out. They got ball bats and chains. And all I can think about is Ray's car. Well, I drive, I'm going backwards as fat, I'll tell you, I must be going 80 miles. I look like Arnie Parnelli or what the hell is going on. I get out of there and I'll tell you what, all I could think about was that car. I don't think my dad ever knew about it.
Wasn't that was like a big Bonneville, wasn't it? A big
No, he had a
white
You know what he used to? He used to buy Electrolux, Electras.
The big Buicks, right, Dave?
He used to buy Electras.
Electrolux.
He used to buy Electras. My dad used to always call them Electrolux. He goes, my brother Ray's got a brand new Electrolux. So what the hell do we do? The first I asked my father-in-law, I go, hey, Larry, can I marry your daughter?
What's her name?
Patty. And he goes, someday, and he drives away. We're down at Illinois State. And I thought, well, you son of a bitch. So I went out, when the two of us, we got engaged. He says, she can't get married until she graduates. We got married 2 weeks after we got out of college at Illinois State. Because I had one more year to go. I was a junior, so I had one more year. So she got a job teaching. So we get engaged, and I go, you know, your parents, Larry and Seal, got to meet my parents, Jane and Eugene. So we go out to Hank's or somewhere. We're eating. We're having a little meal, and here's my dad, or my father-in-law's driving a Buick, something, and my dad, an Electra. And my dad goes, oh, my brother Ray's got a brand new Electrolux just like that one. It's the first time they met. And I'm going, oh my God. And he tried to chase my ass away from his daughter from day one. And I told him one day, I said, you know what? This is when I quit IBCC. And I go over there, and he and his wife are out picking dandelions. And I walked up there and I said, I went to IBCC for 6 weeks and I quit. And I was running down to Illinois State to see my wife back and forth all the time. And my dad only had one car. It was a 62 Chevy or something, a white one, Impala. And I say, can I use it for a weekend? No problem. He'd give it to me. I get off because I was working now at LOF. And I go back and forth. And my wife tells me one day, she goes, you know what? I want to date other guys. Oh, shit, it broke my heart. You know, I just flunked out of IBCC. I'm working at LOF, shift work, and I'm busting my butt down there. And yeah, I couldn't pass calculus, man. I wanted to be an engineer, and I couldn't pass it. So anyway, the guy, I got ADD, you know, I got problems, you know. So anyway, I go up and I see my father-in-law, mother-in-law, and I said, screw this. She don't love me. I can't go to college. I'm a dumb son of a bitch working down at LOF. Screw it. I'm going to go to Vietnam for 2 years. This is 1969. And I said, shit, they got this great deal. You spend 2 years in the Army, you come back, they pay for your whole college career. And I have any money. So I go up and I said, Larry Seal, I said, I just joined the Army. He goes, congratulations, good luck now, have a good time. He wanted to get rid of, you son of a bitch.
Oh, you had Deuce take him for a boat ride.
Oh. I come back. I volunteered. I went down, I bent over, I took the test, the whole deal. They pulled me in, got the physical, and there was 100 of us. I took a train from Ottawa to Chicago. And I was scared to death of Chicago. My dad never went to Chicago. It was Route 34 all the way to Chicago and back. And I always thought, oh man, no one lives in Chicago but black people, and they kill white people. That's all I do. So I'm in Chicago, get in this train, and go, all right, here you go. We're going to go to YMCA, tell them who you are. And he said, he gave me a map, said walk 2 blocks, go to selective service. So I'm there, boom, boom, boom. I walk in this little room. It's just a bed. I'm scared to death. I locked the door. Hell, of what? You know, fresh first year out of high school, 18 or whatever. Take the interview, pass the test. The guy comes out and says, you know, you're pretty mathematically and mechanically inclined. He said, you know, no problem. He says, here's the deal. You got 2 weeks. You're shipped out. You volunteered. And I had an F2 or F4 or whatever it was, which was, you know, if you're in college, you have to go to Vietnam. So I end up going there. I got 2 weeks, and I'm shipped out. He goes, here's the deal. You can call me the day before, 24 hours, and tell me, since you volunteered, you don't want to go. But he says, the day you walk in this door, you're ours. I said, all right, see you in 2 weeks. You know, shit, my wife don't love me anymore, or my girlfriend, and I'm a dumb son of a bitch. I'm working at LOF, and my father-in-law said, told her, he says, "Shit, don't marry that, you know, don't go out this guy. He's gonna work down on the left like all of his relatives, you know." You know. So I get back and I'm working, I get home and Patty calls me, night later. She's crying. "Oh, I love you. I said, "Hey, I don't have a choice. I'm done. I signed the papers. I'm going 2 weeks. And I do have to get out of it." She goes, "I called the selective service and they said you could get out of it up to the day before." I said, "Nah, they don't like that. They made a mistake. I'm going." So I played hard ass for a day or two and then I called them up and said, "Hey, I don't want to go." I thought that was it.
So she saved your life?
You're damn right she did.
Maybe.
Matthew wouldn't have been around.
Better than you can say for Joe.
Matthew wouldn't be here. Probably be honey on
Joe would never have any. Joe would never have any.
You'd be like Jimmy with no teeth. You could have met his girlfriend.
You want to tell that story, Jimmy, the no teeth story, for the record?
Is there a story for the camera?
It wasn't the same one with the washcloth, was it?
I ain't saying no word.
Hey, that was kind of a shitty story.
Okay, Billy, the boat motor story you were going to tell.
The boat motor.
You were going to tell a boat motor story.
Donnie and
Oh, Donald told me he wanted to borrow Ray's boat. So Ray says, "Go ahead." He took the boat out with some guys. They got out in the middle of the river to come back. They're pulling on the motor and it wouldn't start. So,
Donald kept tending?
yeah. So Ray comes home and he's looking at the boat. He's thinking something's different. He's looking. He said, "The goddamn motor's missing." So he goes across the street and said, "Donald, what'd you do to my boat?" He goes, "Oh, Ray, that motor, that's a piece of shit." He said, "That thing was no good." He says, "We got out in the middle of the river." He said, "It wouldn't start." He said, "So surely you didn't want me to pull or all the way back with all that weight," so we dumped it.
Don't give Dave any ideas.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
that's Donald.
That sounds right, Jimmy. That sounds exactly like Don.
I think Donald said it was a Johnson.
Probably wasn't a Johnson.
Johnson Motors.
Yeah.
How did he get away with, well, he got away with his whole life.
Who, Donald?
Donald.
See, there's one thing, if they think you're nuts, they leave you alone. Donald, everybody thought he was nuts. They didn't want to deal with it. And he was the only grandchild. Or the first one.
Donald was dumb like a fox.
Yeah, still is.
Still is.
Still is.
Yes.
Jimmy, did you have a fishing story? I said, "Hey, we got to get this down." I jotted down a note. Was it you that had a fishing
Yes. You said, "Say this again."
story? Which Jimmy?
This one. Simchick
You had a
had
fishing
something.
story?
Not me.
And I
You
didn't
had a
have the
story
recorder.
about something. You said Simchick, I got right back to you. Say that again.
Oh, Jimmy has the one about the shotgun. Say that again about.
The shotgun you mentioned about Grandpa Mucci's, I got that. It's hanging down my basement model.
Okay.
What's the model?
The double barrel shotgun.
Do you know who it's manufactured by?
No, I don't.
I'd like to see that. That'd be interesting.
They got the hammers on it, Jim?
In fact, I'll tell you what, my boy used to, the one that duck hunts, my oldest boy, he loads his own shells, and he puts a little more powder in it. Well, he took that out one time. That's something, split it,
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, man, that's an antique of
Did it
antiques.
have-
of antiques.
Nah, it was just,
Did it have the two hammers?
Had to.
I don't know if it's got the two hammers.
It's a double barrel, has to have two hammers.
I don't know if it's got one or two triggers or how the hell, I can't remember how that works now.
'Cause if it was that old, wouldn't it be?
It could, but if you think about the money and stuff that they had back then, it could just have been a Sears. It could have been.
Right,
It
right.
couldn't have
It's
been-
not
a fancy gun.
No, this
It's
gun
not
is
a
not,
Remington
it's
or
not
something.
worth the money.
The thing
It's
is,
probably
it's
used
60
when you
years
got-
old, or 70 years old, or
But you
whatever.
think
That's
about
all.
Grandpa Mucci, from where he came from, he was a very smart man. Some of the contraptions that he had set up in that yard,
Oh, he built me a rabbit trap once.
with the watering system he had, it was amazing.
True story.
He had the best tomatoes and they played, there wasn't nobody gonna beat them.
Hey, John,
Told us how.
he built me, I wanted to catch a rabbit. I was a young kid, He built me a rabbit trap. It was a box. It was this long or wide. It was this long. It was that high. And it had a door in it. And it had a dowel rod. He handmade this in that shed in the back by his garage. And he had a dowel rod. It had a hole here. Had a hole in the front. And that thing pivoted like this. He took a piece of sheet metal, attached it to that dowel rod, and you hung up the cabbage or whatever you put in corn for the rabbit, and when that thing came down, it was hooked up to that little piece of metal, and when that rabbit hit that metal, it flipped it, and that box came down on the back. Caught 5, 6 rabbits with that son of a bitch across the street in the wintertime. I mean, and that was Grandpa's design, and he built that thing for me.
Okay.
I wish I had that. I don't have it anymore, but
Here's another Donald and Delfo story. This one's called Delfo's Education. Uncle Delfo was the only guy that cared about Donald's education. And I mean really cared about my education. I skipped school one day and I was over at the gas station in May Clay. Delfo pulled up looking for me and I assumed that he was after me, so I crawled up into the attic to hide. I'm assuming it's Carlos Santucci's place.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Delfo came storming in and asked, "Where's Donald?" After a minute, one of the guys got intimidated and went upstairs. So he came upstairs and he took Donald out of the ceiling, took him over to Marquette High School, and just about the time they were walking in through the halls toward the principal's office, bigger than shit, the bell rang and everyone started changing classes. And he said he was being dragged up to see the dean. And he said he was never so embarrassed in his...
Father Duke?
Yeah.
Father Duke, yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. And he said he was never so embarrassed, and he wanted to thank Uncle Delfo for caring. He's the one guy that said. So, okay. Here's a Delfo fighting story. And this is, I think, the bar over towards Streeter. And Donald was riding by. He was real young at the time, and he seen the car, so he stopped in and had a Coke. Here's what happened while he was there.
Indian Acre.
I think it was Indian Acres, right? So Delfo, Augie Herzog, and a couple other guys were over at, was that Del Monte's Tavern at the time?
No, that was, Del Monte
Del
was
Monte's
up
a
the road
different-
from, a different tavern, yeah.
Okay, Del Monte, they were at Del
They
Monte's
were a
Tavern.
little farther south than,
On the other side of the road?
no, same side of the
Same
road.
side of the road, okay. Del Monte's Tavern just south of Streeter. Donald and Ronnie LeBeau were in there, but they were not drinking because Donald was only 16 at the time. He was just, he just happened to see their car. These are rough drafts. So they went in there. It was an off night and they were not too busy. That was when Ray was dating Mary. A guy came barging in and yelled, "Where the hell's Ray Mucci?" Delfo got off the stool and he said, "I am Ray Mucci." The guy cocked his arm and like he was going to hit Delfo, and I'm telling you, Delfo hauled off and hit him so hard he flew over 2 tables. The guy was out like a light. Finally, when the guy got up, he was going back over after Delfo, but the guy he came in with, the guy that got decked, he came in with, told him, "You better cool it, because this guy is just going to tap you again." Ozzy Herzog came back from taking a leak, and he was so excited, he told Donald, "If that guy even looks cross-eyed at me, I'm going to nail that bastard." That guy was looking for the wrong person. The wrong guy.
Did Donald tell you the story?
Delfo.
And it might have been the same tavern, but he said he was over there with another guy, and I think it was Delfo. Some guy come in the bar and started putting the make on Delfo.
A guy put the
A
make.
guy.
Not a fight.
He was
put
a
the
queer.
make.
Yeah. So Delfo didn't think nothing of it. I mean, the guy was just kind of, you know. So
no,
Donald took note of this, that he was kind of friendly with, and I swear he said it was Delfo. Delfo went to take a piss. Donald told the guy, "Delfo's in there waiting for you." Donald said there was music playing, and all you could hear in the bathroom was Bada bing. He said, Delfo's taking a piss. The guy went there and put the moose on him. Delfo about killed him. Yeah. Donald told me that on the phone. I swear it was Delfo. Yeah. He really set him up. He said, Billy, there's music. You could hear him in that bathroom.
He likes you. He's waiting for you.
Oh, yeah.
Here's a story about Eugene wanting to box. Real short story. He wanted to keep the boxing tradition open. Uncle Johnny was a golden glove boxer. Delphi was a silver glove. And Eugene told Grandpa he wanted to box. Grandpa said, you want to box? Get the hell out the house. Move. Raymond. Delphi. Johnny, they fight. Eugene, no fight. You crazy. You won't let Eugene fight. So anyway, Eugene went in to ask him if he could box.
Nah, and this is the story my dad told me.
Yeah.
Anything to add?
My dad said, he said, same exact story you said. He said, Delphi, Johnny, all held different titles. And he said, Grandpa blamed Johnny's death, not on that automobile, but being hit in the boxing ring too much. So none of his kids were going to box after that. Well, my dad trained for 6 months, and he was all ready for his first fight to go to Peoria. He came home and he said, Dad, he said, I got my first fight tonight. He says, what do you mean you got your first fight? He says, I'm going to Peoria, I'm fighting this black guy. He says, is that all you taking, that little bag? And my dad says, yeah, Dad, I'm going to Peoria, I'll be back tomorrow. I got my first fight. He says, you better take a bigger fucking bag, a fucking bag, because your fucking ass is not coming back here again. And I said, Dad, what'd you do? He says, what the fuck do you think I did? I had to have a goddamn place to live. I go, oh, okay. That's how I heard that story.
Did you get the one?
What's that?
I like that version better.
Yes, I think I like Fukin. I think about it.
No, hey.
I didn't know it was a cuss word.
Hey, I told a story about you, young man. Huh? You don't? Do you remember this story?
No.
You, Jerry, and I. You sent me in the house, and you said, Dave, you go grab the salt shaker and don't let Grandma see you. Jerry, you watch out for Grandpa. This is between Red Nicky's and the garage. And they had that little spot in there. And you said, I'm jumping the fence. I'll grab 3 tomatoes. You jumped the fence. You grabbed 3 tomatoes. Jerry didn't see fucking Grandpa anywhere. All of a sudden, I got the salt shaker. And Grandpa's going, God damn son of a bitch, Grandma! Get the goddamn fucking kids out of my goddamn son of a bitch garden! He says, goddamn son of a bitch kids! And you're the one that told us to get the salt shaker. My dad took his fucking belt off and beat my ass for that one. And then, when you had all those parts for that go-kart, he almost beat my ass again, but he just threw all his parts away. He said, he goes, you will never ride a mini bike in my house. Senior year, I go, hey Dad, I'm going to buy a motorcycle. He says, yeah? He says, just like Grandpa told me, you pack your bags, man, because you're not living here. I never drove a motorcycle. So what happens? You got a Honda. You got a Honda, or 2 guys had Hondas. It was... We were at your house, and it was some holiday. My dad's tanked up on his milk. No, it was hams back there. And you guys are playing ping pong down the basement and killing each other. And you got the Hondas out there doing this. They just got these brand new Hondas. And my dad goes, I'll show you how to ride these Hondas. He jumps on this thing, and he's going, vroom, 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 vroom. Pull the freaking wheelie down the road. Put it down, turned around, and came back. You don't remember that? It was your bike.
Your dad did that?
Yes.
He knew how to ride a bike, but
no.
He didn't
No, he had no clue how to ride a bike. You don't remember that was your bike?
I do not know that. No, that's the first I
That
ever
would
heard
pull a
of it.
wheelie
I would
really
have remembered that if I'd have seen it, I'm sure of it.
I must have dreams. It must be the
I
medicine.
can tell you a story about,
Sit down.
about Delfo, went out to start the lawn.
How can you guys not remember that?
He
It
couldn't
might
get
be
it,
me, Dave.
he couldn't get it started. He pulled and pulled and pulled, it was hot out, he was cussing. If me and Wayne done what I'm gonna tell you, he would have killed us. So finally, my dad's out there half hour pulling on his son, bitching lawnmower. Come to find out, John took the spark plug for his motorcycle. Hey, he didn't do nothing to John. Me and Wayne, we've been dead. This guy got away with anything.
You verify that, Johnny?
I already have on that tape, and
That's
as
right.
I think we
Oh,
embellished
did
a
you?
little bit.
Oh,
Do you,
yeah.
do you have the one
I
about
admitted to it.
Delfo with the paint?
I don't have that story.
You don't have
I
it?
thought Wayne told it, but I don't know it that well. You want
He
to tell
told us
it?
in the car that day.
You know it good enough to tell it.
Yeah, he said, Grandpa traded, he come home, or Delfo come home, and he seen a can of red paint sitting on the back porch. He said, Pa, what's that? He said, I'm gonna paint the ceiling in the back porch. He said,
And one thing, let me interrupt you. He got that paint.
he traded food, vegetables.
He butchered somebody's cow or something.
Was
for
that
it.
what
the
it
guy
was?
gave him back a
Okay.
gallon of paint.
And Uncle Delfo says, I'll paint it. He said, no. He says, you'll spill the paint. He said, no, I want to waste. They went around. Finally,
He had it on that little ledge on the
he
ladder.
told Delfo, go ahead, but don't spill the paint. So here comes Grandpa walking in the back door. Uncle Delfo's painting, spilled the paint. Grandpa walked right by him, didn't even say a word. Went in the house. He said, Florence, pack his bags. Wayne said he was gone for 4 months. He didn't speak to Delfo for 4 months. Didn't say a word to him. Walked right in the house. Said, Florence, pack his bags. He's out.
I heard the red paint.
That guy
story.
spent time kicking the boys out more than anything.
Okay, I got one more grandpa story, and then I'm just gonna go searching for stories. Any little tidbits that anybody knows, okay. This is a grandpa fart story. Grandma had all her lady friends over playing cards and making raviolis.
Planning their
They
next
used to
picnic.
do both. They used to do both. Donald and Grandpa, Donald's always there when the good stuff happens. And Donald's sitting in the front room with Grandpa, in the front room watching a baseball game.
Oh, he used to fart.
And Grandpa
He grabbed his cheeks.
ripped a fart, and I mean, you can hear it way outside. Grandpa came into the room and said, Mr. Mucci, what are you doing? I got company here. And Grandpa said, they don't like it? I fart, they go to hell and out of my house. Grandpa said, what did you do, Grandpa? Grandpa, what do you mean, what do I do? I fart. If they don't like it, they go home. Get out of my house. I do what I want to do in my house. But I love the Mr.
And that's
Mucci
what
part.
she called him all the time.
Yeah.
Mr. Mucci.
She called him Mr. Mucci. Then she'd
Yeah.
tap his head.
You bet.
Was that when he's a
That's
good
what-
boy or a
that's what
bad
she
boy?
called him.
Or all
Well,
the time.
All the time.
she had a lot of respect for that man. She treated him like gold.
Oh.
And you didn't say one word to her. He treated her like gold.
Yeah. That reminds
That's
me,
one thing.
somebody mentioned, Joe or somebody mentioned something about Grandpa's diabetes and what happened to Grandpa.
Well, no,
Oh, I know that. I know that
Does
story.
anybody remember? I remember going to the refrigerator and there was always a carton.
I
in
remember
there
all that stuff.
Of.
He gave himself his own diabetes shots every
But
day.
did he drink calf's blood? Did he have to drink calf's blood?
I've never heard that.
There was something in the refrigerator you couldn't touch, and it wasn't the Thumbadin. That was okay. You could drink that stuff. But there
Oh
was
yeah,
something-
thumb it in, you mix it together.
Yeah,
Yeah, sure.
and that's kind of almost a form of prune juice. But we all thought, hey, this is good. This
It
is
was
great
good.
Kool-Aid. But it's
I think Valsano carries it, don't it?
He still has it.
No.
Yeah.
Yes.
You can still buy. My mother-in-law gets it
Give
by
me
the
some.
gallon.
No, give me
Really?
some.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't
Calf's
had that in
Oh,
40
tub
years.
it in.
Oh, tell him. He's got that?
Yeah, by
I
the gallon.
never.
I've been looking for that for 3, 4, 5 years. Yes, I've been looking.
Hey, do you know? Oh, you got another story. I'll wait.
I don't.
I'll
It
wait
had
when
something
you're
to do
ready.
with his he had-
Story about
when he had-
Grandpa.
Before they
Yeah,
started
he's always
taking
going to
it,
get
but
that
there was,
shot.
he had to eat liver all the time, and he had to have, it was some, I mean, I think it just, back then, that's what they did.
Yeah, I
for
think it's
helping.
possible. It's hard to know.
Who knows? The new dates.
Grandpa died at 82.
Right?
Joe says he knows what happened to his foot, several operations.
Yeah, I know all
Yeah,
that
it-
stuff
They
too.
cut his toes off, then they cut it below the knee,
And that
and then
didn't
above
stop
the knee.
it, and then it just kept going higher.
He
and
got
higher.
gangrene, he got
I can
gangrene.
tell
Remember
you.
Sam made a box with a light in it? He used to keep his foot
Yeah.
in there with the light.
Yep,
Cause it
Keep
was
it
warm.
Keep it
Right.
warm.
because he had no circulation. You know what?
Sam made
He-
a box with a light in it.
Hey Johnny, I remember all of this because I was in 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. And Ray used to go to Rush Presbyterian all the time. That's where he took him. And he was one of the first men. They put plastic arteries through his legs to get circulation down there. I remember this distinctly. And they went out and he had diabetes. And just like you said, he had little bottles of insulin every day. He gave himself his own shot. Every morning he'd have an apple or a half an apple. He'd cut it in pieces. He'd have his cereal, his milks, his juice, a hunk of cheese, a hunk of slime, oatmeal.
Big oatmeal.
He had like, I mean, he ate like,
12
perfect diet off the, I mean, the guy lived till 81 or 82 with diabetes, right? So they go up, and I remember going up there, replaced his arteries. Finally, there was, and this is all like new stuff. That's like your dad went up and got the valve from
Males.
from a cow or a pig's valve.
No, it was a human valve.
No, hey,
No,
Was
it
it
was
a pig?
pig's valve.
Oh, okay, yeah, it was.
I remember all this stuff. So anyway, we go up there, and all of a sudden the circulation's, that's it. So they said he had gangrene on that toe. That toe was always black. And they finally, they cut the toes. Grandpa goes home, takes his shoe, he whittles a piece to fit it, puts it in the shoe, no problem. Time goes on, gangrene's right here now. They said, that's it. We're going to take off. It wasn't, they went up to the knee. And they go, cut it off, goes home, Ray, Delphi, Eugene, built the ramp. Because they said, now the son of a bitch, he's going to need a wheelchair. They spent 2 days. They built this exquisite ramp. Because it was in the front. Came up with those steps, went in. Grandpa said, what the fuck is this goddamn ramp? I'm not going to no fucking goddamn son of a bitch. I will die before I do that. So he gets his, he's got a walker, he's got his crutches. They went to work. The next day they came home. There was a fucking bonfire in that garden, and that whole ramp in one shift was gone. Then, finally, it got down. He's 81, he's 82. He's on his last leg. And we visit him all the time. That's when I learned how to drive. My dad and I and Ray and I would go out. They went every night to Rush Presbyterian to visit Grandpa. Every night. Right after 2:30, they'd leave. They pick me up after school, away we go. So I watched this whole process going on. And Grandpa was getting weaker and getting weaker. Well, that's how I learned how to drive, because they'd let me drive home on Route 80. Oh, I'm like 8th grade. I'm not even close to being 16. Well, you gotta learn. And so he's got power steering in his Electrolux, So I'm driving and he goes, hey, man, you don't turn the wheel, Dave. You just hold it. And Ray's going, God, you don't turn the wheel. It's power steering, You turn it a 1/16 of an inch and it'll go across the road. So I'm sitting there, I can hardly see over the dashboard. There's my dad and Ray. And I'm going, what sign? And they're going, you can't read that? And I go, no, I can't read it. Holy shit, you need glasses. You better go get glasses. I ended up getting glasses in 8th grade. Anyways, we get back to, that's a side story, that's ADD. So anyway, we get back to Grandpa, and we're sitting there. Who did what over here? That was you?
No.
Oh, you Blake Patrick? Billy.
It's a bear.
It wasn't me.
Anyway.
Bear shitting in
You
the
shit
air.
yourself.
Grandpa.
You drove a car like you do a boat.
Grandpa was at a point where Ray told my dad, he said, hey, I'm too much trouble. That's it, I'm going to die. Some bitch, an hour later, he died. That's it. Gone.
No kidding.
Yep.
And that guy, he put up with the foot, he put up with this, he put up with the ankle, he put up with the leg, and they said, that's it, he's in too much trouble.
Nobody has said, Grandpa's favorite line, at least to me, or that I remember hearing all the time, nobody's even mentioned it today. Anybody remember? Boy, you deal.
Boy, you deal.
Boy, you deal. You cut his grass. You couldn't cut it right no matter what you did. If you went this way, no, you take it. Boy, you deal. Get that damn grass. You know, they had a postage stamp for a yard of cutting grass, but you had to have it cut. You had to go around the perimeter. You had to go up and down.
Yeah.
He had exactly how you
That's
were going
right.
to do it, and he'd stand on there, boy, you deal.
You know, that's starting to bring back memories, but I don't really remember. Did you have to cut it with that push mower?
Push mower, push
Oh,
mower.
yeah.
Oh my God! Davey,
It's just a,
go to Grandpa's
it
house,
wasn't
cut
a
his
small
grass.
yard, thank
I
God.
said, yeah, it's not that small a yard with that push mower. You ever cut grass with those push mowers? Oh, if it's wet, that thing don't spin. Oh, that was bad.
Okay, guys.
All
I
right.
got a list of things here. If anybody got any stories they want to think are really good, we'll start with those, and then I'll slip through this list real quick. And I don't know that anybody knows anything else about these, but anybody got any other ones that are big on their mind? Did you tell your did you go into the ice fishing and the auger story?
No, I've never told anybody a story.
Huh?
I tell you that story?
Yeah, did you tell me that story? I got on the list to catch it from you.
Yeah, I may have told you I have a story to tell, but I've never told anybody.
Do you want to tell it?
It's about me.
Do you want to tell it or not want to tell it?
Oh, I'll tell it. I'm not ashamed of it. I went ice fishing last winter. I go up to Miller Dam. Buddy of mine bought a place up there, 6-hour drive. Go to Wausau, hang a left, hour and 15 minutes. West and hour west, 15 minutes north of Wausau. We've been going up there 6 years. And this guy is a principal of Nico Valley High School, where I helped my buddy. No, that was a different school district. That's a whole different deal. But anyway, we've been going up there now. Donnie and I, and Mike Pop, who owns the place, he's a principal of Nico, have been going up there for 4 years. And I could get a lot of stories about Donnie. I mean, the guy's got a rice problem. DNR up there threw rice around the lake because he's a duck hunter. And they got a wild rice problem. This guy just bought this place 6 years ago, and it's all wild rice in front. So they're trying to figure out how to get this wild rice out of there. So Mike Pop's got this brain idea taking this cable, and he goes, I'm going to take a bar and a cable, and I'm going to drag it with my boat.
I smell a cigar.
Yeah, I do too. And he goes,
Dominic.
I go, okay, Mike, whatever. And he's got this 8-wheeler called an Argo with 4 wheels on each side. It's like an army tank type thing, and you hold it like that, and you pull it, and it floats in water. The guy can't swim, Mike Pop. And he's an avid fisherman. And Matt and I have gone to Canada with him the last 5 out of 6 years, and we go up there at Christmas, and Patty, we ice fish, and his wife spend a week up there. Anyway, we go ice fishing up there. And last year, Donnie wasn't able to go. Don passed away in October, so we had our annual trip, and there's another story, but I don't want to tell that one on film. But we're up there ice fishing, and there's 4 of us. Kreider from Nequa, the computer tech guy, Truckin' Broads, assistant principal, Pop's the principal, and me. So we're up there, we got the 4-wheeler out, it's about 20 degrees out. We're out there fishing. We take our trucks out. We take the 4-wheeler out. But this time we didn't take the Suburbans out there. We just took the 4-wheeler. And we drag our sleds and all this crap. We get out there, drill our holes, do our thing. Didn't do much first day. Go back, cook, whatever, eat like here. Go back the next day again. And he's having trouble with the 4-wheeler. And so let's see. We'll open it up. We fill it with something. It's working. It's okay. We get out there. The 4-wheeler's not working. Now I gotta take a dump. And I'm at the age now, man, when I gotta take a dump, I gotta go quick. And if I get up in the morning, I gotta take a leak. I don't know about my prostate or anything else at this age of 54, but I gotta take a leak, Now I gotta take a dump. Now there's 400 people on the ice. They all got their Suburbans, they got their sheds. You can't go anywhere. There's this little island, and it's about 40 yards. Argo's here, island, Suburban. All right, now what am I going to do? I'm going to squeeze my cheeks, and I'm going over to get another fuse because we're blowing fuses. I go to Suburban, I'm going like this. I got to go. It's like, I should probably stop running that island. I should open up the door and just do my dump. I got it. We always carry toilet paper with you out there, so I'm like, I can do this. So I go grab the thing. I go running back to the Argo. Okay, let's go. Do. Because if we get the Argo going, man, I can zip back in and take a dump because we're only a mile, half a mile from this place. I get over there, and halfway back, I go, oh no. And I'm sitting there. Now, I got, my brother always wear these camouflage, the bibs, you tie them up. I got long underwear on. I got long underwear here. I got my shorts over the underwear. I got my shorts. I got the long johns, and I got my bibs. And my boots are tied. All right, you're ready. You go ice fish.
Were these the teddy bear ones?
Polar bear.
No, those are my boxer shorts, and those are my pajamas.
Okay.
So, anyway, I'm halfway back. And these guys were going to get something else, and I go, oh, shit. Dumped in my pants, and I go, oh, shit. And I'm not done. So I'm standing there, and I go, I was to fucking finish it. So I'm sitting there going, you know what? And it was not one of these deals like you talk about where you got to cut it and squeeze it off so it doesn't plug up your set. It was liquid. It was bad. And I'm feeling now. It's warm and it's going. I'm going, you know what? It's going to go in my boots. It's going to go in my boots. Don't go in my boots. So I go back. I get to the Argo and these guys went to get something. They come back and I said, guys, before you come over here, I just shit my pants. And they start. They're like, I can't. What am I going to? I stink like shit. I'm not going to lie.
Was there steam?
Huh?
Was there steam?
Oh, yeah. You're talking 10 degrees outside. I'm sitting there. Now, I am warm as can be all over. It's coming down my left leg. The right one, I don't know what happened. We took a left. So anyway, I'm sitting there going, I just shit my pants. And they're going, you what? I said, I just shit my pants. I said, I had to go. It was either make a run for the island, hit the Suburban, or hold it. I thought I could hold it. I can't hold it anymore. And they go, you're shit, man. Oh, yeah, nice pun, right? No. And they go, what are you going to do? I said, someone's got to, we didn't have a Suburban. That's right, I couldn't take the Suburban. I'd take the Suburban. I didn't have the Suburban. The Suburban was just the Argo. The Argo doesn't work. Now, it's about a mile, 3/4 mile walk. Now I know if I walk in, I'm going to have a chaffed ass, man. It's going to hurt. And it's loaded. And I'm going, what am I going to do? I got to go in. So we're sitting there. I got a shitload. And I'm sitting there changing the fuse. They go to start blows another goddamn fuse. No more fuses. We can't get the Argo running. Son of a bitch. So I start walking. I'm walking. And I'm walking pretty fast because I wanted to get there. And then all of a sudden, my legs are like this, and there's some guy fishing. I said, hey, I got a problem. I said, is there a way you can give me a ride, over here, just a half-mile break? He said, no. He says, I'm not driving my truck that way. Okay. So then I start walking like this. Oh, it's hurting now. It's red. It's red. Oh. I finally got in there, put everything in a bag. I threw away a lot of stuff, and then I didn't want to throw my bibs away, so I put those in a bag and tied them up, put them out in the garage. It was 10 degrees outside the door. They froze. You couldn't smell anything. Took a shower, felt great. Now I'm going, now what am I going to do? That hurts. Put baby powder in there, go into my box, and go, well, got some of this Astroglide stuff in there. Self-lubricant type stuff.
What were you packing Astroglide?
Yeah,
Whoa, wait a minute.
That's another story.
With the guys?
Yeah,
It's my travel bag.
it's a guy trip.
It's a
Yeah.
guy.
And you want me to go through my travel bag and throw out my
Remember,
prophylactics?
I'm rooming.
Throw out my Astro
He's
guide
gonna be all
and
horned up after
oh,
this.
it's a guy's trip, so I gotta pull out my prophylactics? Come on, I got it right now. So no, I did not make my own personal bag because I wasn't with my wife versus with the guys. So I'm thinking, all right, throw some of that Astro Glide on there. I didn't have any Vaseline or anything else. Oh man, I suffered for 2 days.
Does it?
See what you got to look forward to, guys. 54, 55. Get your prostrates examined. True story.
Thanks, Dave.
No problem, guys.
It was a wonderful story.
Icebreaker.
Anybody else want to talk about shit themselves?
Well, yeah, talk about the subject.
Anybody who has it, raise your hand.
Yeah.
Nobody raised their hand. So everybody's got a story. Dave, thanks for talking
Oh, thanks.
about that.
I mean,
Nobody
Joe,
else
you know
seems-
what? You know, you gotta pour out your heart. You gotta let it go. It's family, right?
Let it go on.
Hey, you know what reminded me of that was Delphi. Delphi took care of me
He's
like
always good for that,
I was a
don't
son. Ray took care of me. Your dad took care of me. I always loved going to see your
good.
dad.
I got a little.
Davey, come on in. How you do? I mean, your mom, everybody treated you like their own kids. And so I'm walking, here I am, 8th grade, Christmas time. I told some of you guys this. Christmas time, I go in to grandma's, it's 10 o'clock.
Shit your pants now or what?
No, this is 8th grade now, go back. This was last year when I was 53. This is now when I'm 12 or 13 or whatever. 8th grade, I got a heavy beard, you know. I figured, I got to do something about this, so I took my dad's razor. So I see him shave all the time. He's got that straight edge thing, man. If you slip, you just slice your face, you know. And so I'm sitting there, I'm getting her down. I got shaving cream, it's about something you rub and you put it on here, and I'm sitting there going like this, and then here I'm going like this, and then I'm going up like this, and then down like this, and all of a sudden, this is right before we leave for Christmas Eve, 8th grade. My face is red and raw. It's like, oh, that hurts. That's shaving shit, you know. My dad never told me anything about shaving, or when you got to shave, let's talk, or you know, you want to have sex, you know, I'll tell you about with the birds. He never told me any of that shit. So anyway, I get over there
That
to grandma's.
explains the Astro jaw. Or whatever.
Right. So I
It explains a lot of things.
So I go in.
Picture, do you, John?
Matt says he's not
Here's
touching
a
that
guy
one.
with a shitty ass and he's running around with Astro guys. I don't think he's gonna find a partner.
Well, that's those 3 guys.
Oh, no, he did. He found Johnny. He's got a partner for tonight.
Hey, I wonder, you got, anybody
Roommates
remember?
we are.
Is anybody?
Well, I'm not done now.
Okay,
Go,
but
let me
go ahead,
finish here.
finish.
Then we'll get.
Go ahead, finish.
I don't even know where I was now. See, I got ADD. It's tough.
You're
for me.
shaved.
All right,
You're all
shave.
red.
I walk
You're all
in.
red.
I walk into Grandma's bathroom and I look. Oh my God. Walk out of there. I'm going in, and you know, Grandma's on Christmas Eve. You can't even move. Everybody's like,
Oh, that's packed.
you know, they're all yelling and screaming and telling stories, and they're drinking, and the women are all around the table, the men are all in here. I walk in, and there's Delphi. He hits me right by the bathroom. He's coming in, I'm going out. He goes, "What the fuck happened to you?" And I'm going, "Well, what do you mean?" "Didn't your father show you how to goddamn shave?" And I'm going, "No." I'm not, you know, Delphi, shit, I was scared to shit of Delphi, you know. And so he goes, "Man, let me explain." And he was really
You
nice.
should have walked in the bathroom when he was in there with your Astro Glide. He'd have killed you.
Yeah.
Hey, Dave likes you.
He goes, "Davey, look, when you shave, you go with the grain. You go up. Here you come down, here you go back up, here you come down, man. You don't go across the grain." Okay, Delph, I'm embarrassed as shit. Okay, Delph. But he always took care of me. Delphi always treated me very, very well. I'm done.
Speaking of Grandma's bathroom back there, was anybody there the day
Thanks, Dave.
that, and I don't know if anybody was there or not, but when I was a kid, I remember we went out to Buffalo Rock for a baseball game or something. My brother Jerry went out and took a leak out in the woods. And he got a tick on his dick. He got a tick
No.
Wouldn't that tickle?
He got a tick in
No.
his dick. Well, he didn't didn't know, and he goes home and we go to Grandma Mucci's. He goes in to take a leak and he sees this little tick on his dick. So he comes in and Grandma finds out, you got a tick on your dick. Well, you just can't pull that off. You got to get a match and hold that match there so the sticker comes out. Jerry's in the bathroom, Grandma Mucci's in there with the match next to his ween getting the tick off his dick. And anybody verify that?
You know what?
I forgot to
Never
record
heard
it.
that one.
No, that's
You know what?
I gotta ask him before I tell that story. He ain't gonna admit it. I know my brother. He ain't gonna
Well,
admit it.
he better.
I better tell him face to face so I can tell whether he squirms or not. If he squirms, I know it's
What did, what did Dad say? Dad said it was on his belly, he had to lower his pants, but it wasn't on his dick.
John-
It might have been. It might have been Grandma had to pull down his pants because it was right in.
John, I remember.
I remember.
John, I remember
maybe
Grandma.
I was teasing him and
Here, he's got some room.
I remember. Grandma went in the bathroom with Jerry one day, but I don't know anything else.
That's all.
And he wasn't old enough. I mean, he should have been old enough to go in and do that all by himself.
Yeah, he was like 7 or 8 years old. So
I
you're
remember.
right at that age where you're totally embarrassed.
I had no clue.
Grandma had
I
a
do
match.
remember her going in with him.
Okay. I know Jerry ain't gonna tell me if it was on his dick. He's gonna say it's on his arm or something.
I don't know. All I know is they did go in the bathroom. I thought that's kind of weird.
Make sure you label that Jerry's chick dick.
Okay. Billy,
The day she died,
I
she
got a
should've
note
been
here,
single.
something about Hank and a bushel of silver. Hang on.
Hank shows up at my shop one morning. He had the, what was that, a Pontiac,
Catalina?
no,
Final?
Permagene or,
Grand Prix.
no, it started with a P. It was brown.
Oh,
Parisian.
Parisian, yeah.
Yeah. The bumper's about touching the ground in back. He says, Billy, come on out, I gotta show you something. He opens the trunk, he's got 3 bushel baskets full of silver coins. I said, what are you doing? He said, I'm going to Chicago. I said, for what? That's when silver was really, they were getting some big bucks. Back in,
went up to 11.
was it like 80,
It was in the 80s, yeah.
I
Nothing.
don't know, 88, something like that or something. And,
The hunts to go. Round up.
yeah. And I said, aren't you, I thought he'd get rolled up there. So I don't know whatever happened. He was gonna go up there and cash him in.
Okay.
3 bushel baskets.
Jesus Christ, there's gotta be a lot of them.
Yeah, the trunk, it was squatted.
Hell yeah.
Wow.
Did we cover everything on Ray's ugly dogs? The ones that, do I have the story?
No, the
on-
story about,
There's
maybe
another
Jim.
story. Go ahead. there's
Ray
another
was
story
watching
about
that. Ray was, for years, right, Jim? He was watching this one breed. Was it New Jersey? New York?
New York.
So he finally headed out there, called the guy, take Queenie out. Well, they were out Queenie. The guy lives out in the country. He pulls up out in the country, and the guy had a laneway, and there's cars there. So Ray went to the door, knocked on the door, and the lady come to the door, and he introduced himself, and she says, well, we got a problem. My husband died. And she talked him into staying there for a day or two to come back. Am I right, Jim? He goes back, the dog died.
Yeah, that was 102 years old, where he was always gonna go out there to see him. Some bitch goes out there to see him, he dies, then he stays there, like Bill says, for a day. He had Mary with him, the dog dies.
So he couldn't bring Queenie.
I guess he waited too long. Then.
Yeah,
I
he
guess
waited
is
too
why.
long, he's always gonna go out.
The owner died, then the owner's dog died.
Then the dog died.
One of them old guys in Beagle, and Ray always wanted to meet him, Just
Ray had a magazine. He had a stack of magazines this high next to his chair. Nothing but beagles and all
He
of
wanted the
his.
smallest beagles he could get.
You know, Jim?
Yeah, you know what, Jimmy? That's right.
You're talking
He
about a
didn't want.
guy
He wanted the little ones.
that
right?
had the money, and he had knowledge of dogs. How could he end up with so many bad dogs?
I think the story he's looking for is the one about the first one come out of the litter. You were telling that earlier.
Oh, Uncle Hank come running over to my shop. Was this was the last litter, right, Jim?
I don't know.
Yeah, I think right for Hank, but anyway, Uncle Hank comes over. And I think at that time, Mike, your dad was starting to slip a little. He comes running over and says, Billy, he said, don't, Jesus Christ, don't go over there. I said, what's going on? He says, the pup's having baby, or the Queenie's having babies. And he said, boy, that first one come out and didn't even look like a beagle. He says, I said to Ray, what the hell is it? Ray got pissed off and ran him off.
He probably paid $400 on that thing bread.
Well, like Jim said, he was sending them dogs.
He's sending them dogs out. You don't know who the guy would bring them to. You know what I mean? Hey, you gotta find a dog running around the yard. You just let them have it. You know? If you ain't there to watch him, you don't know what you're getting.
Right.
You know, Ray would never go out.
You know what, that costs money.
Oh,
Hey,
yeah,
Jimmy.
Big bucks.
That's how much rides better than me, Ray. He
Yeah.
rides first class.
And you don't know who's
You don't
screwing
know
them.
who you get.
Hey, Jimmy, he took me one day, I was about 7th, 8th grade. We went to Ohio. You want to take a ride Friday night? I go, for what? So we're going to breed Queenie. I don't know what the hell breed means. So away we go. We're on the Ohio Turnpike. Get this dog bred, and all of a sudden I go, what the hell? And he goes, Dave, this is what happens, da-da-da-da-da-da. I mean, it's gross, you know? And he goes, they're going to hook up. I'm going to hook up. He goes, I'm breeding the dogs, man. And all of a sudden you get this penis about this long, it's about that skinny. And man, that thing is just jutting out. And that dog's doing its thing, and all of a sudden I'm going, holy shit. I have no idea what the hell's going on. And he goes, now they're going to lock up. And I'm thinking, how the hell's a dog lock up? What? I'm thinking about my own anatomy, and I'm thinking about this dog's anatomy, and I'm thinking about this female, and I don't know anything about sex. My dad told me shit. And so, all of a sudden, the dogs do their thing, they're locked, and I'm going, he goes, all right, they're locked. And I'm going, okay, this is cool, man, they're locked. All of a sudden, they get all done, and he goes, oh, that's good, that took. And I'm going, now one dog's running one way, one dog's running the other, and their asses are tied together. They couldn't go in, they're still locked. I'm going, holy shit, what the mind? And we get around, drive back
That
home.
explains the Astro, you know, from.
I gotta tell you,
That's all what they did.
let me tell you about
Water on it.
Let me tell you about a breed story. My brother Sam, his son had a black lab. Riley was her name. Just spoiled, beautiful lab. So Steve wanted Riley to get bred. So Hoffmans live out on Gentleman Road, and they have a black lab. And this dog's a very nice dog. Does a lot of breeding. So Sam, it must have been in the fall because it was kind of chilly and rainy and shit. Sam and I go out there, and this lady's telling us that this dog all the females love this dog. So we throw Riley in the pen. It was a big pen. Every time that dog got next to Riley, she tried to bite him. You know, so this one, they played grab ass for quite a while. Finally, Sam got fed up. Now, he did this for either 5 or 7 days. So the last day, I ride out with him. Now, Sam's got a cold. He's been wet. He's had it with fucking Riley. So we're in the car, we pull up, and he stops the car, and he turns around. And Riley's sitting there, you know, and he goes, listen, you bitch. He says, you get out there and you fuck that bastard. He says, I've had it with you, you son of a bitch. He says, you either fuck him or I'm going to kill you. And his dog's going. And he's giving his dog a pep talk.
Didn't he tell the guy too, the male dog? Didn't he say the same thing?
Oh, he's out there trying to. Then he got fed up and he hopped right in with him. Nothing ever happened. But I couldn't believe he's giving that dog a pep talk in the car.
I can see Sammy going, okay.
Oh, he just. And then the best part was Steve says, Dad, she's not pregnant. Sam about wanted to kill Steve. Holy shit.
You remember the story I think Wayne told us? Does anybody know anything about Ray's Korean War medals?
A little
I think
bit.
that was told.
Ray Wayne told those.
I thought Wayne told those.
Yeah.
Jim
might know him.
You know, what Wayne said was Ray would never talk about it, and then one day Wayne was at the end of the bed, down there at Grandma's house, and he just was in the mood, and he talked about it, and he's,
No. Ray was sick. And he went to visit Ray, and he was sitting on the edge of the bed with Ray.
okay.
And Ray just started talking. I'm sure that's what he said when Ray was sick.
Yeah, and Wayne's gonna have to tell that story,
Yeah.
because he's the only one I think that heard it, at least that I know of. And Wigglepolen said that Ray would never talk about it, he wouldn't press it.
He never talked about the
He wouldn't
service.
Only time he talked about the service, he told me one day they were jumping out at night, they're gonna jump at night. And he said, fuck, we never jumped before, he says, hey, when you go, you gotta keep going, you know. This son of a bitch, he said, we start going, he said, this big nigger falls down in front of us. We all gotta jump over him, you know, get out. Son of a bitch, he said, we were all separated. He said, it was pitch black, you know, they dunked at night. He said, we didn't know where the fuck we were. He said, I woke up in the morning, he said, son of a bitch, here, him and two other guys were there. All them bamboo sticks were sticking up. He said, I don't know how the hell we missed them. You know, they had them traps, you know, that, not a trap, but just like an arrow.
Paratroopers.
Yeah, and he said, that's the only story he ever told me.
One little tidbit to that story that he told me personally, and he said he had that picture of himself. Ray had a picture with the army hat on, you know, when he was young and he was in the service. And when I was 12, 13, I would say, boy, that's cool. And it had a little parachute, I think, if I remember right on his head, parachute. Oh, that'd be neat to jump out of an airplane. And he finally said, it's not neat. He says, it's the scariest thing you'll ever do. It ain't the glamorous thing you think.
Yeah.
He says, I'll tell you one story. He says, we got in the plane, I think it was the same night. He says, and they're sitting there and it's dark and they might have, either they never jumped before, they had one or two practice jumps back in the States, but they hardly ever jumped before. These old planes and stuff, and he says, everybody was just so scared. And everybody's sitting there in the dark in the plane shaking, and all of a sudden the sergeant yells out, stand up! And everybody stands up. And they're just sitting there, they're shaking, and then the sergeant says, hook up! So they take their static line that's supposed to hook up, and he goes, hook up! One guy was so scared he pulled his ripcord and it flopped down on the thing. And that's probably the guy that
He screwed everybody up. He screwed the whole jump up, you know.
Yeah, and I think that's how it happened. Hook up, and the guy pissed out of it, and he pulled his ripcord and blooped right down in the plane.
Jeez.
He didn't have to bail out anyway.
Yeah, he got out of it.
And another.
I hope he did.
Get out there.
And there was another story, I think, that I don't know if Wayne told it or not, but it was about a dog. Grandma and Grandpa used to live right next to the ice cream palace.
Yeah.
In that big greenhouse.
Big greenhouse.
And when
Like 17th or 16th?
21st.
21st, okay.
Right
Yeah.
across from
Nando.
Taylor.
Yeah, that's the big, scary greenhouse.
That's where Grandpa and Grandma lived.
So they used to
when
tell
Alfred
Matt
and
when
those
he was
guys-
5.
Well, there was a dog in the neighborhood, and it went around and it bit one of the kids. I don't know which one, Ray or Delpho or one of the girls or whatever. Grandpa went over, grabbed the dog, lifted it straight over his head, and slammed it down to the ground and killed it because it bit one of the kids.
That wouldn't surprise me.
So, and I think that one came from Wayne. I think that was in the. Anybody know Donnie and the Bullet? When he was out on the deck?
Donnie.
Your brother, Donnie.
On what deck?
Somebody shot a gun up in the air,
He was on his deck
Someplace-
where Vicky lives right now.
and he was sitting out one night, and
No, I've never heard this.
somebody shot a bullet or something up, and it came and it landed, hit him in the chest.
He's sitting
It
on,
hit Donnie?
It hit Donnie in the
he's sitting on
chest.
the
Didn't
deck.
break the skin.
He's sitting on the deck and he gets stung.
Right,
He thinks
yeah.
it's a sting. And he hears boom, it's sting, and he hears a little something, and he's looking and it didn't break the skin or nothing. And he's, what the hell was that? You know, a bee bite me or whatever? And then he looked where he heard the noise, and there was a bullet. Somebody over by the lumber yard hunting, or somebody celebrating or something, was
Probably
shooting a bullet.
celebrating, yeah.
The bullet went over the forest, and old Donnie, who always had, you know, Donnie always trouble followed him wherever he went.
Yeah, such bad luck.
And
You know, it might have been
here he
in
is sitting in town, he gets hit by a bullet. Anybody?
because they filed
I
a
never
report
heard
on
that.
that with the police.
How long ago was this?
Oh God,
So this is like since he's got married, so in the last
Oh, yeah, no.
16, 17 years.
I'd say maybe 6.
Anybody have any other Donnie stories?
Oh shit, I can tell you tons of them, but I told most of them at the church.
Okay.
What about the rabbit?
Oh, did you guys hear my the rabbit story that when Ray took me out with his Frenchie? The first time?
Frenchie was another.
Frenchie is an Italian 20 gauge
Okay.
shotgun. And Ray took me out when I was young. I had to be the Beagle. I was Queenie. I don't know why I was a Queenie, because he has 18,000 million Queenies. But for some reason, Jimmy, I had to be
Because you didn't run into trees.
I guess. Maybe it was one of the dumb, retarded ones. So I'm out there, and like Jimmy, Ray's going, all right, Dave, it's just Ray and I. We're hunting. He goes, all right, now look. Here's how you hunt. You step on the weeds, because they're going to be in there. Okay. Now, you see the stick, that big brush pile? You step on the sticks. You rattle a hole, because they're going to come out of there. And so I'm learning all this shit. Well, all of a sudden, I'm the dog. Ray's on the railroad tracks. I'm down on the...
That's the way it works.
Yeah, or my dad's on one side, Ray's on the other. I'm the dog. All right, get over there. Did you hit that brush? Yeah, Ray. I'm kicking. I'm out of breath. So finally, after going through that routine, he's got a Browning. My dad had a 16 gauge Browning automatic that Ray won at Frankie's or somewhere in Tipboard. That was worth $300 back then. And Ray gave it to my dad. And so then, I don't know what Ray was shooting, but he orders this Italian gun called a Frenchie, F-R-A-E-N-C-H-I. And it's like a BB gun. Oh, Ray was so proud of that gun, automatic 20 gauge. And he says, okay, here's how you shoot. Puts cans up, we're out one day, and he says, hold it tight, it's going to hurt. I'm up there and I said, aim this, do that, this, now shoot. Okay? That was my first lesson. Next time he takes me out, takes a can, he rolls it across the ground. He says, now you keep it on there. And he says, now here's the pattern. You're so close, it's going to do this. You get farther out, the pattern gets bigger. So, know your pattern. Okay, so safety. Make sure you carry your gun down. Always have your safety. We're going through all this stuff. So I'm learning little by little as I'm the dog, and then I get to do this. So this is where we're all done. I be a dog, I get to shoot the gun. You go be the dog, you shoot the gun. So, first time, he says, all right, this is the day. Now, Donnie must be 5th grade, 6th grade. I'm probably 8th grade freshman in high school. He says, there's the Frenchie. We go right across the street from my house. He says, this is your day. We got the dog and Queenie with us. And he told me, I worked with Queenie Queenies all the time. You would probably hunt with you too. And he goes, here's what you do. You kick up a rabbit here, Queenie kicks it up, you just stand still, you look around, you find the highest spot, you go stand on that hill, and that goddamn rabbit's going to make a big ass circle. Queenie will be about 30, 40 yards behind, and that rabbit's going to come right back to that same goddamn spot. You shoot it on the way back to that spot. Okay? Sure as shit, every time Ray would boom! Queenie grab that thing, he'd give it a command, bring it back to his foot. So, okay, shit. So I'm learning all this shit, so away we go. Gives me his Frenchie.
Did you have trouble getting the rabbit in your mouth?
I gotta have to do that.
Billy, yeah.
I couldn't resist that one.
I'm going to forget my story if you keep it up.
Yeah.
And then it's going to take 2 hours instead of an hour.
Okay, go on.
Don't
So
forget
anyway.
you got ADD.
Yeah.
Here I am. We go out, pick up a rabbit, one shot. I got it. Queenie brings it back, go high spot, shoot it. Go up, we're headed toward the dike. Boom, gets another one. We go up on the dike, pick up another one. Come back down around the pit, pick up another one. We got about a half hour before it gets dark, and Ray was like, good job, Davey. That's the way. Yeah, that's 1 out of 1 shot. Holy shit. There's 2 for 2. God dang, nice first time hunting, 3 for 3. 4 he's going on. He's going, oh, 1 more, you got the limit. So now Donnie meets us. We're down at the pit. And we kick up a rabbit. And here comes Donnie running over, and his shoes are still on the ground, no boots, no coat. Donnie was always in trouble. And sure as shit, that rabbit went into a hole. And we're on the, you know, you have the pits down here, and then you got the shelf, and then you got the dirt. So we're down on that shelf, and that rabbit ran down there, went in a hole. Now Ray's in there, he can see the red. So he's on one, there's a hole here and a hole here. He goes, Donnie, grab that rabbit. Here, take this glove. And so Donnie's in there pulling out hair. Ray's on the other side trying to pull. They're both pulling out hair. Finally, Donnie gets it and throws the thing. He jumps like hell. And he goes, Dave, you stand right here at the top. When we get that rabbit out, you're 5 for 5. I'm ready. I'm sitting there going. All of a sudden, Donnie grabs that rabbit. He throws it out like, I don't even know if he had a glove. And all of a sudden, that rabbit takes off. And boom! 5 for 5! He says, Jesus Christ, Davey, what a fucking son of a bitch. Oh, it was a big goddamn deal. We go home, we got the rabbit stuff, we got Eugene out there, you're a goddamn son, da-da-da-da-da. And Donnie's going, that son of a bitch, it's always Davey. He gets all the goddamn attention, I don't get shit. He goes, fuck anybody. No, he didn't say that, but he goes, anybody can kill a rabbit when it's half dead. You guys pulled the son of a bitch out and handed it to him and shot it.
So he's in there, he's, you know, he gets in that hole, and he told a story, and I mean, I swear I wish we had had it when he was telling it. He told a story that was like none other, and I mean, you were just laughing your ass off. But he's like, I was in that hole, and I'm pulling hair out everywhere, and hair's going everywhere. Next thing you know, and you know, I could get rabies from this damn thing, and you know, I got me down this freaking hole, and I'm just pulling shit out everywhere. And like the thing's half dead, throw it out, and he shoots it. He gets all the freaking credit. Here I was, the one in the freaking hole in the cold on my knees. And
that's Donnie though, worry wart, worried about getting rabies. He was a worry wart. See?
How about the story? Does anybody know the story about two of the boys borrowed Hank's car?
About the Indian Acres.
Remember who the, I think Wayne
Donald and
No, Eugene.
no, it was Eugene and
Raymond.
Raymond. Okay, Donald was telling me about it.
Eugene and Raymond,
Yeah,
they borrowed Hank's car.
Hank's car. Went out
And
to
they wanted to
Indian
go out
Acres.
honky talking, so they went over to Indian Acres. And it was a Model A or something, way back when? Long time ago.
With an old car,
It was an old car. Well, anyway, they went over to Indian Acres. They turned around, they went in and had a few beers. They turned around, they came out after drinking, and one of the tires was flat. So they turned around, they looked for the spare, there's no spare. Hank don't have a spare on it. So they turn around, they start looking through the cars in the parking lot, they find a tire that'll fit the car. They take the tire off, they pop it on Hank's car, and they drive it home. They say, hey Hank, we had a flat tire, you didn't have a spare, we had to take one off. Hank goes out, he looks, and he says, that tire don't match the other three. Drive back to Indian Acres and get the other 3 tires.
They went out there and did it.
That's like your brother Jerry came out one night. Ron Zoran and Emmett Aubrey in high school.
And what happened?
He was in your house. I was with these guys. But they're always pulling shit at each other in high school. So like senior year, they went over, they jacked up Jerry's car. He had a date with Joanna. He comes out, you know. He knew Jerry's schedule all the time. He was with Joanne all the time. And so he goes out to pick up Joanne or something. They blocked up his car and he went to step on the gas and the fucking wheels spun.
You ain't gonna believe this. It wasn't Jerry's car.
No.
It was my dad's car. To this day, he wonders who took his tires.
No!
I swear. It's true. He goes, one time I went out in the garage, the car was jacked up. I had just bought 4 new tires, and it was up on blocks. His 4 tires were gone. He couldn't figure out who took them. They thought it was Jerry's car.
Oh, yeah.
My dad, to this day, wonders how in the world he lost 4 tires out of the garage.
No, they were stolen?
Stolen.
Oh, no, these guys didn't take the tires off. They just blocked it up underneath so the wheels spun.
Well, one day my dad went out after buying 4 new tires.
No, they didn't
And he
do
went
that.
out and the wheels and the tires were gone and it was up on cinder blocks.
No, they didn't do that.
And he still wonders to this day who took them. He never did find out. So that's not a related story.
No, that's Jerry's story. Jerry knows that story.
Somebody had to pull a joke on him though, on Jack though. I mean,
No, they
got
took the
40
tires.
They never replaced
No,
it.
they took
That
'em.
wasn't a joke. If you brought them back the next day and said, ha, 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 never got it.
Somebody
Never
seen
got
those tires needed tires. Some young kid didn't have the money.
Hey, he probably was talking down at work. Shit, I got 4 new tires today.
Yeah, probably.
Somebody heard him.
Somebody at work.
Hey, John.
Yes, it would be.
Oh, holy shit.
Is anybody, Mike, maybe you heard this story, I don't know, or Jimmy, but they used to tell this story all the time. When Hank had his place, he had trouble with people breaking in. And they'd go down, they'd try to steal money out of his place. So he sent Johnny and my dad, and he put them up in an attic or some damn thing. And I don't know the rest of the story, but there was something to do with Johnny and my dad up there, and I don't know if Johnny fell through the ceiling. Mike, you know anything about
No,
that?
I haven't heard that one.
I don't remember the whole story, but if anybody, there's something to do with them up in the attic at Hank's, and I know that something happened. Oh no, someone came, Ray was guarding the damn place, and someone broke in. There was something to do with that. Jimmy, did you ever hear anything like that?
No, I never heard that.
Something to do with Johnny or Ray, someone up and somebody came in and they were there.
I think the last one I got here then is Delfo at Gene and Pasquale's. You know that one, Jimmy?
What's this now?
Delfo at Gino and Pasquale's. I heard a
Pasquale.
story.
Pasquale's
Gino Pasquale,
Tavern?
yeah. I guess there was, when you went in there at one time when your mom was young and your dad was young and they weren't married too long, they were going in Gene and Pasquale's and it was a double door, you know, like for winter time to keep the air out. And Helen and your dad were walking in the door and some guy was coming out at the time. All of a sudden, boom, the guy hits the Delfo, pops him, and boom, the guy hits the ground. Helen, your mom says, "What in the hell did you do that for?" He says, "He was looking at you." That was it. The poor guy was walking out of Gino Pasquale.
He got in a lot of fights over my mother. Yeah, somebody look at her, he was on him.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's him.
Who, I don't know if Wayne told that story or whatever, but I heard that about the same.
I don't remember that one.
I think that's the whole list, boys. Now tomorrow you'll all think of 2 or 3 more and go, oh my golly.
Jot them down.
Johnny, thank you. That was tremendous.
great.
Put all that time and effort. That was cool.
Well,
You bet.
what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna write these up the best I can. And if you see any, I'll send them out, email whoever wants them, or to the mailing list that was on there.
Johnny,
If you don't want them,
you
just
know.
delete them. If you want them, if you got some corrections.
Don't even send them to
I don't know how.
Huh?
Is your email good or not good?
It's working.
It's good now.
Okay.
We still don't read them, right?
How do I get a copy of this so I can?
It might be 07 when you get his.
I'll work on it.
We'll put them on CDs and send them to you.
DVDs or something.
Yeah,
Have to be
DVDs. But now these